to the Ska History Hour with your hosts, Jose Rojas
Hello.
and myself, Daryl Rubio, wherein the purpose of this channel is to spread awareness of ska music and its subgenres to the world. Our guests today are members of Foolish Relics from Tampa Bay, Florida. We have Dino and Mohawk Mike. Mohawk Mike is also from Alabama. Gentlemen, we appreciate the time that you're taking to speak with us, to share your stories and your music with the ska community. Can you first tell us a little about yourself and your role in the band, please?
Go ahead, Dino.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Dino. I guess I started the band during the pandemic. I was bored and found some neighbors, and we were like, we should make a ska band. Like back in the day, we all had ska bands. And I said, well, that's kind of fun. So yeah, I play guitar and sing. And then once we got into writing, I've done most of the songwriting for the first two albums. Looking forward to that, kind of adapting as we get into, writing for the next series of tunes. But yeah, I also wear the red hat, but I can't find a red hat right now in my house. So you have to deal with me in this like whitish hat, if that's okay.
It's right here. The red hat's right there. You're
It
wearing it
is.
right
And
there.
that's also a skinny version of me because you can do whatever you want. So that guy's wearing like medium clothing, and I'm pretty sure I'm not a medium.
Is that what you used to look like?
That's a sexy beast. I mean, sure, let's go with that.
That's good.
Mike?
So the name, Mike, yes.
Yeah, were you gonna try and
Michael?
cut me out? So,
Sorry, Mike.
really, all right. So, I decided in last year, I was like, I think I'm gonna, 55 years old. I think I want to learn how to play an instrument, and I decided on saxophone. I wanted to play bari sax, but they're too damn expensive. And Dino's like, you buy a saxophone, and I'm taking you on tour with me. And that's exactly what happened. So I am very much a beginner at the alto sax. I do have a little bit on the new album. I do some background vocals on the new album. I think I do more of a managerial role than anything else right now. So that's where I'm at.
They gotta get you on stage to do the Madness Guy stuff.
Oh, he does. He provides plenty of hype, and he does provide the mohawk. So,
Where is the mohawk?
sad that it's not making its appearance tonight, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's there.
So where's? Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. All right.
Yeah, I'm actually getting it recolored Saturday morning, all glow in the dark coloring.
Nice.
Are you doing it up a special color or something for Supernova coming up?
No, I never pick the colors. I just go in and I usually just tell whoever's doing it, do whatever you want, bleach it out and do whatever you want. I don't care. It's only hair. It grows that,
So you get like a zebra.
Really, Mike? It grows back, huh? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I remember when I said that once upon a time.
And Dino, I thought here you were at the beach this whole time.
I'm at the beach, yeah, because I live in Florida and it always looks like this. So those waves are just coming in perfectly. All of our houses are on the beach in Florida, so this absolutely is not a green screen.
Nice.
And surprisingly enough, there's probably a pool in between him and that beach.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I'm actually in my pool right now.
So where does the name of Foolish Relics come from?
Yeah, we went through a few different choices, and we kind of again started like we just wanted to play ska songs that already existed, and then we started playing pop songs and places around here in Florida. Like there's a bunch of breweries and restaurants and live music places. Like all you'd be outside to hear 24/7 throughout the year. So we were playing breweries and just like covering songs, kind of reggae ska style. And at one point, I was like, man, I feel like I'm like a relic from the 90s. And I'm like, I kind of like that. So we went with the Relics. And at some point, the first drummer was like, this is like completely foolish that we're doing this. And I'm like, Foolish Relics? Foolish Relics? Okay, there it is. So yeah, it's kind of like, it's a fun name to say, but it also like plays on the fact that here I am like literally 30 years later doing exactly what I was doing 30 years ago, and even like still repping the third wave sound, which I think is very clear in our music. Maybe the second album jumps a little bit more away from that, but the first album definitely is like very third wave based.
Nice. Okay.
So you said during the pandemic, right? In 2020?
Yeah, nobody had anything to do, so I actually set my sound system up. All my gigs dried up, and I set my sound system up out on the pond. I lived on this big, like, kind of pond, kind of lake, half of a lake, whatever. Just set my sound system up and just started playing tunes for my neighbors. People started coming out, and that's when I met the drummer, the original drummer, Zach. And he's like, "Hey, I was in a ska band." I'm like, "I was in a ska band. We should get together." And then, of course, Florida, everything opened up pretty quickly in Florida. So we just got to jamming and finding other people who like even knew what ska was. And we've gone through a few different folks and a few different iterations of the band. But one of the guys, John, who plays tenor sax, he's been with us almost since the beginning. Mitchell, he plays trombone. He played the first show when I was just kind of finding anybody who lived in Florida who could play a show, and didn't know that there was going to be a band playing like originals and recording and stuff. So a couple of those guys been around a long time. A few we met along the way. But yeah, it again started the pandemic, and then we recorded the album in 2021 for a 2022 release. So I think that timing lines up pretty well with being bored and wanting to do stuff that was fun, you know?
And might you two known each other back then when it started, or?
Mike? No, we didn't know each other at all. Mike bought the first album, and then we announced that we were going on our first tour. This is 2 summers ago, or let's see, 24, 23. We're going on our first tour, and we're going to Alabama, and everyone's like, "You got to hook up with this guy, Mike Tilbrook." He's and I'm like, "Well, that's a dumb name. Is there anything else I can call him?" And they're like, "Mohawk Mike, that's what you call him." So they said, "No, you got to find Mohawk Mike." And he was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you guys. I can't wait to go to your show." I go to the shows in Alabama, no Mohawk Mike to be found. At all.
I explained that.
Well, you can explain it to the viewers now if you want to keep stating the case, Mike.
All right. So I don't know if y'all know, but I travel all over the freaking country for work. And usually I go somewhere and I'm there for months at a time. And I was working on an army base in Dothan, Alabama, and every show that they played was it was 2 hours away, and I had to work the next morning. I just couldn't do it. I wanted to. I was in contact with them almost the entire tour. Dude, where are you at next? I want to see. I want to make it, and it just never. The cards never lined up. The stars never lined. Whatever you call it.
Yep. And so anyway, but we kept talking because Mike and I at that point had developed a rapport, and we've been talking online. And Supernova is actually when we met in September of 2023. And yeah, I mean, as soon as we met, I felt like very tight with Mike. I think it was probably the feeling was mutual with you and Castro and Mikey Rude.
Oh, absolutely.
Like went back.
That's when we met Mike too at Supernova.
Yeah, and we must have met Daryl too, but yeah. I met 1,000 people at Supernova, so
yeah,
that's you should remember me. I don't have to remember you. That's how this works. No, so yeah, no, it was like this instant connection, and I've stayed. We talk all the time, and then again, when Mike said I'm going to play sax, I said, "You can come on tour with us, and you can play on stage." He's like, "No, I mean, I'm like literally just learned how to play sax." I'm like, "I don't care." So we actually took a break on our second tour. On every single show, Mike had his like moment, and he would like, get a drum beat, and he just would like play along with whatever came to his mind, which was usually, what song were you playing?
It was the intro to Bad Town.
Yeah.
From Op Ivy.
Yeah.
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 Except yours sounded better than mine just now.
Probably not.
But yeah, we just had a lot of fun with it. And Mike's just like a lovely guy. I actually was the only person who knew Mike So we were going on tour. We leave home. We all rendezvous. Our first show was in New York City. And I'm like, all right, there's this guy, Mohawk Mike, and somebody's got to pick him up in Jacksonville. Isn't this how it went down, Mike?
Yeah, actually, you sent a message out to the band and said, hey, we're taking Mohawk Mike on tour with us because where we're going, he's more popular as an individual than we are as a band. And that's how it went out. But I still didn't know any of them until they stopped at my apartment to pick me up, and I'm loading my crap into the back of Nate's car.
And I'm with my family on vacation because we took the kids on tour again. And so like we're on this completely separate road, and we're like nowhere to be found. So we're the only link between Mike, but I'm just like, hey, everybody, just trust me. You guys will be best friends. And they're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they got up to New York after a couple days and they were like, he's the greatest guy ever. And I'm like, I told you. So we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a fun trip.
And I think you spent more time with the band than I did.
I did.
Yeah, because again, I had my kids on tour and I couldn't do the things they were doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I had to tend to the children.
Yep.
Yeah, because we were out having wild, crazy parties, you know. I mean,
that's what it was. That's what it was. I knew it was something.
Nice. Now, can you just take us back to your first practice and how it looked like, and how many times you guys practice a week?
Gosh, we're a band that rehearses a lot. Let me start with this. We rehearse a lot on our own, and everyone in the band, because we live pretty spread out, Mike's the furthest one away. He also probably has the least to do that involves learning the horn lines, but like our horn players, one guy lives down the street from me. The other guy lives an hour and a half away. The other guy lives an hour away, not even in between. So the band has been very dependent on rehearsing at home and having their spots down tight and being good listeners. I think that's been one of the key elements of being a part of the band and being, who's in the band now are like excellent listeners and team players who literally we show up to rehearse and people will think that we've been like playing every day for 14 days straight all day long is how tight it is. We played, I shouldn't admit these things, but we're all friends here. So let me take another sip here. And we opened for Save Ferris in Tampa not too long ago. And we had one rehearsal. And it was a week before, but we were missing two people, the second guitar player and the bagpiper. So, yeah, because John O'Day, which is on the new album, is one of our singles, has bagpipes in it. And we're like, let's get the bagpiper in. But then it was like, oh, but we have to learn the song in another key because bagpipes, yeah, anyway. So, people were like, oh my gosh, you guys are one of the tightest bands I've ever heard. You must practice a ton after the set. And I'm just like cracking up, like, yep. But the truth is, we had never actually played John O'Day with our bagpiper Gemma until sound check. And even then we played like 30 seconds of it, like everyone good. And she had a bagpipe solo, but everyone's like playing the songs at home and really like working on it. So the first practice going back to the pandemic was in my garage, and I basically just invited, I was like, okay, I got this drummer guy. I found a bass player on Bandmix. I found a trumpet player who reminds me of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And then we found a sax player. I didn't know these guys. I just invited them to my house. I invite my neighbors. I'm like, you guys just come hang out, have some drinks, and my band's going to jam. And like, you have a band? I'm like, yeah, I have a band. We didn't have a name or anything. So we were just jamming and having a good time, but we're playing like well-known songs. And, Steve Miller Band, The Joker, it's not hard to go bum, bum, ba-da-ba-ba on the horns, if you know what you're playing. So we're just doing that kind of stuff, having a good time. Everyone's like, wow, you guys sound great. And then at some point, this true story, I don't think I've ever told anybody this story outside of the band, but true story, this guy who came to play sax We're in the middle, like an hour into rehearsal, hour and 15. Everyone looks like they're having a great time. He literally just packs his horn up and like just leaves. And we're in the middle of like, oh, isn't this cool? I just had ordered pizzas. Everyone's like, yeah, you guys should play longer. Like, we had nothing to do during the pandemic, right? Sit outside, all spaced out. And I don't even remember the guy's name, but he literally just like got in his car. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't say, hey guys, it's been fun, but I don't like the music. He just packed up his horn and like got in his car and drove off. And we were all like, looked at each other like, what just happened here? Like, what is this? This is really bizarre. So we like tried to call him, and it like went to voicemail. Like, and then I texted him, and he was ghosting us. Like, and then we never heard from him again. Like, I don't know if he's alive. I don't know what, but like that was our first practice. The trumpet player Shaggy stuck around for a while we were doing covers. And once we got to writing the first album, everyone was super busy kind of getting back to work after, with the pandemic, and like not really sure of what life was like. And they said, look, Dino, like you've written everything. So why don't you just like go record it with whoever you can find to record it? If we can jump in the studio, we will. But like my job's on the line. So I don't need to necessarily, like be in the studio all the time. So, oh, hi, Hannah. This is our mascot. That's Hannah.
Hi,
by the way.
Hannah.
Hello.
Hey, Hannah.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy's on an interview. Okay. I love you. Here, will you put my hat on and go back downstairs with Charlotte? There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
Super cute. That's awesome. I remember I missed those days with the kids.
All right. So, all right, Yuki.
How old
All
are your
right.
kids?
I have 4 girls. They are 19, 15, 13, and 5.
Wow.
So
busy.
and, yes. So Hannah goes to all our shows and actually does appear on the album, the new one.
That is
so-
awesome. Congratulations, Hannah.
Hannah sang, can you sing Childlike Empress for them real quick?
Meow meow.
Yeah, no, won't do it. All right.
Meow meow.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
You got double hat duty.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Okay.
Put on Paw Patrol and she'll be fine.
I did. I thought I did. So,
So
and
this guy, so what you were talking about, Shaggy, that
so
stayed in
yeah,
it for a while?
Shaggy. Yeah, so Shaggy stuck around. I know you guys can edit this together, or you can put my daughter in, whatever. So Shaggy stuck around for a while, helped write a couple of the horn or like not write, but like arrange a couple of horn parts. But at the end of the day, the band that recorded Too Old was a bunch of my buddies who were familiar with the studio that I wanted to record at in Sarasota. So, and the horn guys were guys I pulled together. They knew each other. I was like, hey, will you guys come help me record this thing? So that's how Too Old came about. It was actually like a studio album. And then once it came out and like Thank You for Skankin' took off, I was like, oh, I kind of need to play out, and we were starting to get offers to play. I'm like, I kind of need to put a band together that can go do this. So pulled a few guys together in Orlando, played a couple shows out kind of on the East Coast or the middle of the state. And then Mitchell stuck around from there as the trombone player. So, and he's still with the band. So, all right, hang on just one second, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Let me mute this so I can.
Do your thing. So what's
What
up,
you
Mike?
got?
Where are you at now then, Mike? Are you back in Alabama? Where are you at?
No, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in my hotel room.
Oh, okay. So you're getting for work, right?
Yeah. Yep. I had the Army Corps of Engineers here today. We finally got to commission the facility. What I do, I don't know if you're going to get to this or not, but my day job is actually I oversee construction and repair of jet fuel facilities for the military.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's why I travel around. I'm on military bases everywhere I go. I'm working on a Navy base here. We commissioned it today. Go in tomorrow. Just got to move another piece over to another facility. and then I can start working on getting that temporary facility we've been using emptied, cleaned, and out of here. The goal is have it out by July 4th so I can go home.
Yeah.
All right. So
That's
you were
awesome.
prior military?
I am, yes. I was in the Air Force for 23 years.
Well, thank you for your service, sir.
Yes.
Oh, it's my
you.
pleasure. I
Yeah,
actually
and
loved every minute of it.
Jose's a
What
vet
did you-
too.
What's that?
Jose is a veteran as well.
Oh, yeah, me and him have talked about it.
Well, thank you, Jose.
Thank you. What was your job in the military?
I was a fuels troop. You were in the Army, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Army
so
National Guard,
yeah, we've talked about that. So the equivalent for in the Army would have been a 92 Fox, I think.
I think so. The few other
It was a 77 Fox, and then the MOSs got all restructured, and I think it became a 92 or 93. So I think it's 92.
Yeah. Did you do any overseas?
Yes, I did. I was stationed in Turkey twice, England once. Actually, my first base was in England. That's how I discovered ska.
Oh,
But
nice.
I'm sure y'all will get to that in a bit, so I'm not going to go there.
Yes.
But, so yeah, but I was stationed in Turkey twice. I've been deployed to Iraq, Kuwait, Afghanistan, all over the Middle East. So
Wow. Oh,
That's
well,
awesome.
thank you for your service. Yeah.
Well, sorry for the interruption, gentlemen.
No, never.
Kid's
never.
got a mind of her own, man.
Family's most important.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the releases that you've got the first release, Too Old, which is behind
Yes.
me. There was only 50 of them made. Is that correct?
We had, let's see, 50 made for people who pre-ordered it. And then we had like the rest of them that just kind of like got eked out in shows. But we like numbered and signed the first 50 of them. And then we got like the second box later. So
Yeah. I noticed you also signed it inside too.
yes, I always want like people to know that like the exterior matches the interior. So like
Like the carpets match the drapes?
yeah,
that's exactly what I was going for. So yes, I want you to have a number matching album so that someday in the world when somebody collects like 10 Too Old copies and they're mixing up the numbers on accident, you'd be like, but I have a number match and it's worth millions. So, and it's autographed by Dino by himself. I think I autographed most of those by myself because again, it was like a solo project that morphed into the band from a band, so if that makes sense. So
we had another band on called Codename Rocky, and we had some of the limited edition CDs also by them that we all had too.
Right.
So to go back to your releases, you have a new release, Somebody Please Just Wake Me Up, coming out July 8th. And let's see that right there. I've already got it in your hands.
You know what?
Closer.
Okay.
You got to have it closer to you. Yeah, perfect. And up a little. Yeah. There it is. And what is that tree called? You call it a...
Well, the logo that I call the logo the Moon Tree logo.
Moon Tree.
Because it looks like the trees on the moon with our logo. We put that on shirts and stuff.
Oh, got it. Okay. I was trying to figure it out. It's like, is there trees on the moon? I wasn't sure.
No, actually, I tried and there's not. Let's see if I can get this stupid background off. I'm just gonna there. Okay, you can see my house. Cool. So the album, we just got these. You guys are like the first ones to see it. And yeah, we just got these, and well, like let's see here. July 8th is when it drops.
And you guys gonna be packaging those up and sending them out to everybody like Jose over here?
Yes, Jose. Anybody so we had to put a Kickstarter out. I mean, we know our place in the world, and we actually worked really hard because we do play still the covers gigs, and we make money playing those. But like that offsets tour, recording costs, and like if we're on tour, like per diem, the food, and all the hotels and all that. So we like have hustled for every bit of what we've done. But once we got to the recording, we're like, shoot, dude, we can't afford to press this. There's no way. but we think our friends will help us out. And we put the Kickstarter out, and we were overwhelmed because the Kickstarter came in like $700 or $800 over what we expected, which the Kickstarter wasn't going to cover our costs entirely, but now I think our costs are covered entirely,
Nice.
which is just like, oh my gosh. Because we were already like, okay, guys, like what gigs do we need to hustle up? And these gigs, we have to move our sound system out. We're there for 3 or 4 hours. It's like takes a full night, out of our life. And we don't get a cut from it because it goes into the band fund, right? So it's not like I'm coming home with even like $50. I'm coming home with like 3 beers in my belly. And that's
And a
about it.
burrito.
And maybe a burrito if we play there. Yeah, at a Mexican restaurant. But yeah, so we were able to do this. I'll show you guys. This is the first pressing right here.
Nice.
The orange galaxy look.
Yeah.
And we're really happy with that. But the orders, the Kickstarter and the pre-orders were actually overwhelming. I didn't think we had that kind of bandwidth. So we actually immediately rushed a second pressing right after the first pressing came out and the Kickstarter and everything started. And the second pressing we did in a variant called Planet Earth. And it's like a translucent, like kind of Planet Earth looking thing. So there we go. Aren't those pretty? And people can buy those on our website. They can order them, foolishrelics.com, click on the merch link, and they get them directly from us. And we have it up on Bandcamp and stuff like that as well, but we don't have to pay fees, which means we pass the savings on to people if we can. Even on the pre-sale, we offered anybody who backed the Kickstarter, like, hey, we'll kick you a second pressing as well for $16, which is like cost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're selling for 22, on the website. So like just to get it out to people who supported us, just to be cool.
And that must be a great feeling, just knowing that all these people want to support you. You guys.
It's honestly like mind blowing. The second the Kickstarter was done, and then last week a couple weeks ago, we launched the pre-orders. The pre-orders came up, and like all of a sudden, I boom, 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 and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're literally running out of our first pressing. So I had to put on there like low vinyl alert, which is something you expect from like the bigger bands. If like Less Than Jake comes out with a new album, they're like, look, we have 5 variants, and there's only like 1,500 of the first pressing, and they're gone like in 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I guess we're into our 6th pressing now, and there's 8,000 of them available, and those are gone. We're just like, we put our heart and soul into the music. We love what we made. We think we made something special. We definitely wanted to like push some genre boundaries with this album. And so I assume we can talk about it in a bit. I can tell you guys kind of behind the scenes of the tracks and everything like that. But yeah, we really wanted to like push some boundaries and kind of blow people away from like the first note. That was our goal the whole time, and give some folks stuff that they hadn't really heard before from us and maybe like ever. So I think we accomplished that. We're very, very proud of what we put out. We think people will love it.
I think I'm most surprised about what you said about actually having a hotel room on tour instead of sleeping in the van.
Well, we're a bunch of old guys, man. I mean, we've got a couple 20-somethings in the band. We range from our tenor sax player, and you would never know it, is in his late 60s. But you would never know because he's like in great shape and he's a fun guy. We got Mike, can barely get out of bed in the morning at 55 years old, broken down body. Me, I play a show, I'm 45 and I'm like hunched over for 2 days after a show. And the 20-somethings are like, we'll sleep on couches. But yeah, we, especially with my family on tour, we got hotel rooms. We did one attempt to not do a hotel room in York, Pennsylvania, and it worked out as poorly as you could ever imagine a situation working out. We would have been better off knocking on some random person's door and being like, we're a band, can we sleep on your floor tonight? No joke, it was so bad. Mike, I
man.
don't know if you want to expand upon that. I don't want to use names because I don't want to like make anybody feel bad, but don't take offers for free lodging on the road from a venue. That's the story.
Yeah, it was like a crack house, but not like a nice crack house. I mean, like you had to use your key to get in the door from the outside, but then once you got inside, there was no locks on the doors.
What?
You know,
What?
and I was like, there was no way. I didn't take a shower. I was like, I'm not putting bare feet on anything in here. It was bad.
Oh,
It was
man.
bad. I don't.
It was so bad that my wife was like, I'll sleep in the car with the kids if I have to. And the band, some ska band was on that show with us, and the guys felt so bad. They're like, take our hotel room. Like legit. They were like, just say, here's our reservation. Go and spend the night with your kids. So these guys stayed at the venue in the crack house. It literally, like, if you think about driving up through like Long Beach and you see a crack house and you know it's a crack house, that's where we stayed the night. And so that's what happened. It was bad. I stayed at a hotel with my family, and then we had free breakfast in the morning. And the only saving grace was that the guys met us at the hotel, and all of a sudden we had 10 people eating free breakfast at the hotel.
Nice.
Yeah.
And-
Thank God for bourbon, because if it wasn't, I would have never went to bed that night. I wouldn't have slept in that place.
It was rough. It was really bad. So
yeah, we
wow.
love these kinds of stories.
stories from the road.
Yeah.
We've got plenty.
But
So you told
I
us,
made sure we always had bourbon on hand. So
That's important.
That is true. That's also, I should have put that on the let's see, what did I credit Mike for on the album? Mohawk Mike, alto sax, right? Backup vocals,
Yep.
hype.
Yep.
Hype is important, and Mohawks.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, bourbon could have, if I had more room, bourbon could have been added.
Wait, Dino, you didn't show him the top right corner.
The top right corner. Oh, the top right corner is the best part. Actually, I'll show them the whole top. Look at this. We signed with a new label and an existing label.
Very nice. Look at that. You got Mida and you got Mike there. Very nice.
Yep.
Mohawk Mike Records.
Yes, we are, and we are release number 001 on Mohawk Mike Records.
All right.
Congratulations, Mike.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks.
Mike.
And Dino, of course. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Mida. He's the one who landed us.
Yeah.
Let's consider that. I mean, we're a pretty big fish, so Mida really, he should be reaping the rewards of the partnership eventually.
I was about to ask you, how did you connect with This Is Ska Records?
Look, Too Old had a song on it, okay, called Thank You for Skankin'. Thank You for Skankin' was not even supposed to be on the album. I had recorded the whole album in the studio, and one night I have the flu. I'm lying in bed reading In Defense of Ska, the first edition. And I'm like, gosh, I'm start highlighting all the bands that like I know and love. And I didn't know like everybody. Aaron's like pretty in depth. But yeah, so I just start kind of like going through and I write the song in kind of in my sleep. I'm just like dun 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 dun. Thank you for Skankin'. I start writing down all these bands like on a yellow notepad, right? Legal pad. And then I start figuring out like, oh, which bands rhyme? Like Bim Scala Bim rhymes with Tim, as in Tim Armstrong. So like, oh, okay, I can work with that. And so anyway, I just went through this whole thing with 150 different like shout outs. That song, and I sent it to somebody who I'd befriended online, Eichlers, who had put out an album, My Checkered Future, and it was like electronic pop ska, very like at the time, very like edgy. Nobody had heard anything like it before. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Can you do anything with this?" Eichlers was like, "Yes." Sends it back to me. I'm like, this sounds cool. So I just recorded the vocals in the studio. and that was it. Again, didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was like a fun shout out to ska and everyone I love, and that song like took off. Yeah. That was the #2 ska song of the year. Yeah, it was. It streamed like 50,000 times. I think I was only 49,500 of those. But it streamed, yeah, it streamed a lot, and it carried the album, and people were like, "Oh, you don't sound anything like Thank You for Skanking." I'm like, "No, it was a joke." So it was just like, it wasn't supposed to be this, and it was. It just became our signature song, and we started playing it live. People loved it. People would sing along and all that. I still don't know all the words, and I did, I didn't even shout out Mida, but that kind of is what got me every single interview that I possibly could have imagined, was just that one song. Because I had "This is Ska," Mida calling, and okay, I mean, just very like, "This is Mida Goodwin from This is Ska Radio. Would you like to be interviewed?" I'm like, I call my parents. I'm like, "I just got an interview on a radio show on the internet. This is cool, man." And then they just kept like coming, and I was so busy just like telling the "Thank You for Skanking" story. But that's how I got connected with Mida, and we've become good friends ever since. Like, we talk all the time. I probably talk to him just about as much as I talk to Mohawk Mike. So he's been a good friend. He's really supported us. And we were trying to, like, we sent this out to all the labels. And for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is, I can't wrap my head around it, like, nobody opted to pick it up. And like, we sent them the album, and we're like, and everyone's like, "This is a real leap for you guys from the second album, from the first album." I'm like, yes. And we sold 100 vinyls. We sold 25 cassettes and 200 CDs. And we've streamed this album 50,000 times. So if any of the bands like on the label can, I didn't want to, I'm not saying it sound like a jerk, but like, I thought we held our own with a lot of the big players, or at least the like middle tier players. So we shopped it around to everybody. And at the end of the day, like, there was no offer that was more compelling than just putting it out on our own. And just saying like, okay, let's embrace our like indie-ism, and that's okay. But as a musician, you're like, I want somebody to believe in me, and then I want them to like pay to have it pressed. I don't want to run a Kickstarter. It feels very like Bush League. But at the end of the day, what did my friends do? Like, our friends stepped up. Probably more Mike's friends than anything, but they stepped up and helped us out. And so we're very excited about that. And Mohawk Mike Records was a dream. And just like playing on stage was a dream. We haven't got Mike on stage at Supernova, but heck, I mean, that's the goal. If we get that call from Tim and April someday to play Supernova, Mike's going to play sax in front of everyone, and they'll know what it is. He'll probably crap himself, but that's what's going to happen. He's going to play.
Well, I'm sure we'll see him this year.
So going back to Thank You for Skanking, and then right up into Tim and April, because I don't know this, but Dino, how did that happen? Where Thank You for Skanking evolved into the Supernova 23 theme that never got used because all the bands started dropping out.
Right. So Thank You for Skanking is doing really well. And at one point, I don't remember how I came across Tim and April in general. I just, again, in the course of online, I heard about the Supernova Ska Festival. It was going to be great. And they... at one point, I was like, "Oh, hey, I could always write you guys like a Thank You for Skanking for Supernova," and they emailed me back like straight up email was like, or messenger, and was like, "That would be awesome." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I would need your list of bands," and they're like, "Well, that's kind of a secret," and I'm like, "Okay, I can't write a song for you if I don't know the list of bands. You're just gonna have to trust me on this one." So finally they did, and they sent me the list, and I was like, "Oh, I had the list way before the announcements were made." I was in the studio in September September, October, record. So I wanted to record a band version of Thank You for Skanking anyway. So this gave us an excuse to get back in the studio and record that. And we recorded Ghosted, which is a single we released a couple years ago. And you were talking about releases. So yeah, that happened in 2023. We put an album mix on this album because we love that song. And the new album mix slaps too. So, but Thank You for Skanking, 23 Supernova version comes out, and we send it to them, and they're like, wow, this is great. This is exactly what we wanted. It's going to be on all the promos. And then they call me a week later and like, hey, these two bands dropped out. I remember it's Dr. Ringding and the Duelers.
And
What's
Pannonia.
that? Oh, Pannonia.
Pannonia, yeah.
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years. Yeah, Pannonia All-Stars, yeah.
Pannonia All-Stars and Dr. Ringding dropped out. Those are the first two. And I'm like, okay, well, who are they replaced with? So I go back to the studio. Of course, I'm paying for studio time as this happens. So I go back to the studio, and I'm like, I need to re-record this, and we need to remix the vocals. And I can't fit whatever mustard plug into Pannonia. So I had to re-record the whole line. Well, it took an hour. So I sent it back, and they're like, oh, this is great. Thank you so much. Next week, like the Duelers drop. And it just kept going on and on and on. And after the second time, I was like, do you guys just want it instrumental with like the Supernova bits and just make it a promo without the bands? And they're like, we'll do what we can. They released it a couple times, and then they're like, you're awesome. Thank you so much. We wish we would have used it more. Why don't you come to Supernova and hang out with us? We've got, VIP passes for you and your family. So we went to Supernova, had the time of our lives. And it was cool because it was the first time that I had ever been anywhere, like to a big festival like that, where people were wearing our t-shirts and knew who I was. And I was like, I'm wearing my red hat around, and I was like, and people were like, Dino, Foolish Relics. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, how do you know who I am? And I'm like, they're like, I live in Alabama, and I love you. I saw you guys play last year. And I'm like, wow. And you bought our shirt at the show. Like, this is so cool. And like, it happened a few times. But yeah, kind of like we were in the zeitgeist in the ska world. It felt really cool, and honestly felt like we belonged there. At Supernova, felt like, I knew a lot of these people. I'm from California, San Diego originally. So like I grew up in the late 90s in San Diego. Like you see the shirt I'm wearing. Oh, yeah. I'm repping.
That's my
homies
old logo.
My homies in Buck 09, the old Motel 6 logo. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've known a lot of these people a long time, but not like I knew them. They didn't know me. So now having that kind of identity with the band and the music's really cool. So, but that's how the Thank You for Skanking Supernova came out, and we had the track. So we decided to record a new version of Thank You for Skanking for the new album as well. It just kind of like gives you like a really basic, kind of silly, like here's how ska music and dancing came to be. We call it Thank You for Skanking Dance. Let's see, where is it? Right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see that.
It's the same like Thank You for Skanking chorus that everyone knows. People sing that to us. Which somebody pointed out, you guys just rewrote La Bamba, right? And I'm like, huh, don't tell the Richie Valens estate. La 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 bamba. La 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 bamba.
Holy shit, you did.
Is that the first time you were told that too, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think Richie Valens estate's going to come after us for our, streams of the song, but it was well after that was written and recorded that I was like, did I just steal La Bamba?
Because that song reminds me of Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." That's what I got out of it. And then I saw all the different bands, and you even mentioned one of my former bands in there, the Hippos.
Oh, yes. Yeah. One of the best bands I ever saw live. Were you playing with them in the 90s then?
I put out their first album, and I managed them. And
you managed them. Got it. You managed them. So yeah, I saw them at Soma in San Diego, and like one of the best bands I ever had seen live. So yeah, I forget who they played with on that show, but yeah, dude, I love that band. Still love that band. Still listen to the Hippos.
Yeah, the first album is always going to be the best.
Yeah, it usually is, right?
Well, in this case, it is
Yes.
because I paid for everything.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
But yeah, so I tried to name anybody who was an influence, and even like some adjacents who were influences. Like, I mean, a lot of people, like we mentioned Bob Marley and the Wailers, like people don't necessarily think about their ska start, but like that's very present there. We mentioned again Rancid, Operation Ivy, Tim Armstrong specifically because he's like everywhere, right? Every time he plays in a band or does a Music Cares event or whatever, it's got that ska underpinning. And there's a few other bands in there that we were just like, I just want to add them because they're adjacent enough. The Clash, is in there, and like again, you can go either way with that, right? But I definitely think of them as like having a lot of ska influence. And then we even, do you guys remember in the late '90s when everyone so all the ska bands, remember they had to have a punk song on their album with no horns?
They had
remember?
to, though.
Well, they didn't have to, but they were doing it. They would have like their obligatory punk song, but then you had punk bands who had their obligatory ska song.
Yeah, that
was going back and forth. I will say that the new album, our song Countdown right here, that kicks off, it doesn't exactly kick off side 2. This interlude with Mohawk Mike and Ox kicks off side 2 and goes straight into Countdown, is like our punk song with no horns. Like back we would have done in the 90s, Foolish Relics. Yeah. So we even mentioned bands that kind of had a ska song or two. So we mentioned Green Day. They had that song King for a Day on their Nimrod album that's got the horns in it from Goldfinger. And we mentioned 311, Smash Mouth. I did not mention No Effects because I couldn't squeeze it in. But yeah, Kill All the White Man is one of the best reggae and ska songs I've ever heard. But then I'd also go and mention Propaganda. Oh, Offspring I mentioned because Offspring would put a ska song on every album. They had Don't Pick It Up was on Ixnay on the Ombre. They had What in the World Happened to You on Smash. And even like, I don't want to say Why Don't You Get a Job as a ska song, but it definitely has that like reggae feel to it. Obla Di Obla Da thing going on. So they were doing that. So we mentioned those 4 bands, no effects. But again, every time I do an interview, I'm reminded of some band I didn't mention. So I'm sorry, Fat Mike, if you're watching this, Fat Mike, I'm sorry. And if you want to hang out sometime, I'll write a thank you for skanking all about no effects. So
can we talk about your ska influences?
Yeah, I'm wearing one right here. Bucko 9 is actually, so I grew up in San Diego, and the first ska sound I ever heard would have been on Sublime's 40 Ounces to Freedom album. And this is like in 1995. I'm 15 years old. That album had kind of just come out, and all my older friends had the CD. Remember the one with all the wingdings on the side? Yeah. That was the first pressing before it was bought by MCA. Yep. And so we had that CD, and I heard it and heard songs like What Happened and Date Rape was had already been on the air. And then emerged from that to Bucko 9 being the next band that I heard. And it was obviously a very different sound. But I'm a musician. I've been like I've like played classical music on piano as a kid. So hearing this like horn section that would play in unison and then break off into harmonies with the guitars and the bass and the drums and the distortion and the vocals that like were never perfect, but they weren't supposed to be. It like made me feel alive inside. The first time they put on that Songs in the Key of Bree, and I heard Barfly, like literally, like I think I was seeing in color. And fortunately, being from San Diego, I got to tell my parents, like, hey, I found this band. I want to go see them at a club that's for all ages called Soma. And they dropped me off and picked me up. and I got to see them for the first time like in '96. So
Nice.
maybe '95. But it started there, and then I figured that ska music was just this fast like punk reggae sound with horns. So I just started like inhaling any band that showed up to San Diego with that sound. Of course, that's what was happening in the world. I remember I went to a show. Buck-O-Nine was the headliner, and they had this band like nobody had really heard of. They were called like Less Than Something, um, and nobody had ever heard of them. And they come out, and so this is Less Than Jake I'm talking about. And Less Than Jake used to do little like acting bits at the starting of their shows to throw people off, and they used to do like a Headbangers Ball metal opening. I don't know if anybody ever saw them do this. So they come out, and Krista Makes has this huge wig on, and they start playing like this awful butt rock, like Creed, but like the worst version of Creed you've ever heard in your life, and loud. And I'm like, dude, this isn't what I came to see. So I like booked it out of the room. Goldfinger was on that bill too. And they were like, oh, we just recorded a song. I think MTV's picking it up. And I was like, yeah, that's a big deal. Sometimes you get that show confused with Sprung Monkey and Buck-O-Nine. But anyway, I see all these bands. So Less Than Jake, I'm like, these guys suck. And we like literally walked out to the other room and then came back to watch Buck-O-Nine. Little did I know that like the sound they were putting out was the similar sound. I heard Automatic on the radio. I remember waking up to it one morning on my radio station 91X. The alarm clock went off. I was like, what is this? Then Come On Eileen comes out, then Sell Out, and then it's just everywhere. So I'm very much a product of the third wave, and I didn't know any better until way later in life, to the degree I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I got tickets to go to Street Scene San Diego. And Street Scene, this was in 1998, and Less Than Jake was playing Homegrown, excuse me, couple other bands like in the ska vein. But then the headliner is this band called The Selector. And I'm like, so all the bands play, and then the Selector comes out, and this lady comes out. She's like, the selected train is coming into the station. And I'm like, where are the horns? These guys aren't ska. They suck. And we left.
And you left on that one too? Oh shit.
So I guess my point is I came out of like the third wave of like the kids who picked up on the trend, started a ska band, just thought it was like a really cool sound. It matches my energy really well because I'm a bit of a spaz anyway. So all the different things going on works really well for me. But I did not know that it had roots or where it came from. And in a lot of ways, the Thank You for Skankin' Dance song that's on the next album, it starts like way back in Jamaica in the 1950s. So I think in my mind, I'm like rectifying that. Even though the first Thank You for Skankin' did mention some of those old, like back to the roots. This all began with Desmond Decker and Alton Ellis and Byron Lee and all those guys. So I mentioned all that. What's that?
Ethiopians.
And the Ethiopians. So yeah, I'd become more aware, but it took me like probably 10 years to realize that this was like part of a bigger movement. By that time, ska, in the mainstream had died off plenty. I still loved it. And as I consumed it, I was like, oh, the Specials had more albums before 1997? Because all I had was the Today's Specials CD. And I think that came out in 97 was all covers. And I just knew that because a movie, Grosse Pointe Blank, put Pressure Drop on the soundtrack. And I bought the soundtrack from Columbia House Records. Remember Columbia House? It was in my hall. And I was like, oh, these guys are cool. I'll go buy their other albums. So I found Today's Specials and then didn't realize that they actually were like, oh, these guys. Yeah. And then Toots and the Maytals. And like, so I started backing into the history to appreciate it. And I love all of it now.
Well, yeah.
And I feel bad.
Back then in Sandy, you had a back in the 90s, there was a huge ska scene. You had Unsteady, G-Spot, the Lexicons. Spy Kids were already gone by then. You
Yes.
still had Buck-09. Um, I think
Like Rocket from the Crypt was adjacent.
Turkey Mallet played some.
Turkey Mallet was there. Yeah.
God, I'm trying to think of who else. But there was there was a pretty decent ska scene back then.
Agent 51 was like a punky kind of like a rancid-ish type of band. Yeah, I mean, it was a very vibrant scene, and every weekend there were shows. So I saw Turkey Mallet more times than I could imagine. We never got to play at Soma. We had a band called Who's Your Daddy? And we never got to play at Soma, but we did record at Double Time, which is where like Blink, back when they were just Blink, and Buck-09 recorded their albums. And so, yeah, we had a good time, recorded some good tunes, but we were kids, man. We were literally 14 to 17 when we recorded and played as a band, kept it going from 97 to about 99, a little into 2000. And by then, you know, horn bands, they were dropping the horns and finding ways to like bury horns into a chorus instead of featuring them. You know, just kind of, I never gave up on like the horn line. It's like never ever gave up on it. But I remember like in 2008, I'm listening to ska music in my car, probably Buck-09, Songs in the Key of Brie, 28 Teeth, Libido even. And like people like, what is this? And I'm like, you don't remember ska? It was 10 years ago. Like, it wasn't that long ago. This was a huge thing on like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I can't believe I didn't bring them up. Like, of course. So yeah, San Diego was full of it, full of the ska scene. People liked it. It fits the beachy vibe. Like, so it just, but it didn't like ever leave me. And I actually felt like a bit of an outlier during the pandemic. I formed the band saying, you know what, if like Real Big Fish ever toured in Florida, I'd want to like open for them. So let's form a band that could do that.
Yeah.
And then I realized like, oh, there's a lot of that going on around here. Like, who knew?
Did you ever come up to LA for shows when you were down there?
We played in in Big Bear Lake one time. We played in Orange, actually I want to say it wasn't Orange County. It was like Oceanside one time. And we were all kids and we went to like church together. So like a lot of it was just like our youth pastor would let us play at the church for free in the courtyard and we could charge for tickets. So we'd charge our friends like $5 to come watch us play. And then if our youth pastor knew anybody else, and we weren't even like a Christian band. We were like we're not a Christian band, but we'll be just enough to where like the churches will let us play and we'll be clean, but we'll be just like enough that the punkers who aren't going to church will like us too. So we just kind of like straddled that line, and it was fine because we were kids, like whatever. But we just would play at any church that would let us play. It was usually our youth pastor would be like, hey, my buddy's youth group up in Oceanside wants you guys to come play. So, we played like Mira Mesa, Pacific Beach, La Jolla a lot, Coronado, just around San Diego, mostly the equivalent of like a backyard party. And we would play at our school as well during lunchtime.
There was a band from Oceanside called Oceanside Sound System. Do you remember that band? I
do. I remember the name. I don't know that I could tell you much about it.
Up Ivy type of
yeah.
Band. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, they sound like familiar. They sound like somebody I would have seen. I loved Unsteady, and I've known John Roy forever. John actually was on Too Old. He did a guest spot on it, and we talked to John about putting Somebody Please Just Wake Me Up out as well on Escape Hatch, and he was like, "Look." He's like, I like it. And by the way, this is all positive about John. I love the guy. He's great. And I really appreciate what he's committed himself to. He's like, I love it. And I think Mike even talked to him too, right, Mike?
I did.
Mike, I forgot you're here, by the way. I'm really sorry. I'm very self-absorbed.
Hey, do your thing.
But I did get you involved just now. So I'll shut up for a second. John Roy, well, you know what, Mike? You talked to him more than I did. He just said it's not the vibe. So why don't you jump in there?
Yeah, he's got his dub thing going. And we just didn't kind of fit that dub vibe that he's got going. It's nothing bad. We just, I'm not going to drop up a whole bunch of names, but I mean, I was at Supernova last year and I talked to everybody with a record company at Supernova, and I got lots of replies back. Hey, I like it. You're too punk for me. I like it, but you're not punk enough for us, and that's where we went. And honestly, I mean, so I got fed up and emailed Bucket from the Toasters. Because Bucket and I have known each other for several years. That's a whole story in itself. I won't go into right now. But so I messaged Bucket. Bucket, help me. How do I do this? And Bucket said, "You start your own label."
That's
and
it.
here we are.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
But yeah, John really knows what he's doing and what he wants to do, and he's built a really unique identity. And in that sense, I'm very, and he's been again so cool. We talk and we chat and whatnot online, and I think he's been nothing but supportive. But I really honor the fact that he just said this. I really want to stay in my lane with Escape Hatch and do what Escape Hatch is going to be good at doing. And I think that's very unique. That's a lot to me better than just oh, here's something I'm going to consume it and take a cut. So yeah, it was cool. I don't mind that we put it out on our own. No sweat off my back, but hey, labels, we've already sold out of our first pressing. So good job.
So
that would have been their money. That would have been the labels' money, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many bands Foolish Relics size are selling hundreds of, literally, we're moving hundreds of units of this album already. It hasn't even come out yet. People haven't even seen us play most of these songs yet. And it's how is this happening? This is great. We have great fans and friends.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike, your influences now.
What's that?
Your influences. What are your influences? Your ska influences?
Oh, well, okay. So I'm wearing a Toaster shirt. But what happened, how did I get into ska, really?
Yeah.
I was stationed in England, right? And I didn't know anything about ska. I never heard of ska before. I went to go see the UK Subs play, a live show there. And I'm there, and in between bands, the opening bands, and I don't know who they were. I mean, hell, that was 1980 something. And they start playing ska. And all these skinheads get up and they're all out there, start dancing and everything. And I was like, what the hell is this? I like this. What the hell is it? And I start talking to them about it. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And, I'm drinking. I don't remember a damn band. No, I don't remember any band that they played, any song that they played. All I knew was I liked it. And I happened to be in Tower Records in London one day. And I saw Ska Boom from the Toasters. And I was like, I know that name. And I bought the CD. And that was my very first real intro into ska. And that was in 1988. And I have been hooked ever since.
But by that time, Bucket was already living in the States.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
that's a phenomenal album. That one and Throw Me Up are probably two of their best.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But Bucket and I didn't know Bucket then, obviously. I'm an 18, 19-year-old kid. I don't know, what do I know? But it's funny is I was working on a project at Camp Pendleton. So I had an apartment there and I was living in Oceanside. And that was 2016, I think. And Bucket and I were friends on Facebook, but we didn't really talk a whole lot or anything. We just kind of acquaintances, more or less. And I saw that he was in Hatch, New Mexico. And I had been stationed in New Mexico for a long time. So I knew all about Hatch chilies and all that stuff, and everything. And I know Bucket loves, spicy peppers and chilies and all that. And they had a show coming up in San Diego. Well, on my way, I had left a project in Niagara Falls, New York, and I drove all the way to Oceanside.
Wow.
And I stopped in New Mexico and picked up 35 pounds of Hatch green chili.
Pounds?
Yeah. because you buy it by the sack. You buy it by the sack, you know, and it's 35 pounds a sack, right? So I had it roasted, peeled, and frozen in a cooler, and I'm driving this to San Diego to Oceanside with me, and I've got an apartment there, and you open up the freezer, and there's nothing in it but Ziploc bags of green chilies. I couldn't even fit Ben and Jerry's in there. I mean, that's how packed it was with chilies. So the Toasters are playing in San Diego in a few days, and I messaged Bucket. I said, "Hey, I see you're in Hatch. It's a shame you missed the chili harvest." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Well, when you come to San Diego, if you want, I'll bring you some frozen Hatch green chili that I just picked up during the harvest." And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love that." So I show up at the Casbah in San Diego with a cooler. And, and I'm going through the guys, check the security guy. He's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's 7 pounds of Hatch green chili for the band." He goes, "What?" And I opened it up and I showed him. He goes, "All right, go ahead." And Bucket and I have been, close ever since then.
Nice.
That's what established mine and Bucket's friendship.
So that's how you get to his heart, through the chilies.
The chilies.
Apparently, yes.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
yeah.
Now, off the new record, Dino, there's a song, "Forget About Tomorrow," about your dad's health battle.
Yes.
How difficult was that to write? And I'm not sure if you performed it yet, but it must be pretty hard to perform. The actual song that actually made me cry when I heard it, it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Tell us
Thank
about
you.
that, please.
Thank you. Let me start at the present day and say my dad is actually in remission.
Yes.
Like what 9% of people who have pancreatic cancer like live to tell the tale.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's one of those 9%.
Oh.
And holy cow, like it's insane actually. My family is to celebrate. We're gonna go see Mikey Rood in Hawaii. I told you guys before the interview. But my parents got my sister's family, my family, and them a trip to Hawaii to just celebrate. Like, hey, let's just go take a family vacation to Hawaii and stay at a resort for a week together because we got life back.
Yeah.
And so, and from there, I'll hop over to Oahu and see Mikey. So my dad's in remission. So the song today for me, so going back to it, how hard was it to write? It was very difficult to write and also not difficult at all. It poured out of me. I was in San Diego. My dad had been hospitalized. The pancreatic cancer diagnosis comes back. They're talking about stages and all that kind of stuff. And it's just crazy. And he's like, "Hey, I've got errands I need to do. Can you go take care of some of them for me?" One of them was putting tires on his expedition. So I go pick up tires at Walmart and leave him at the hospital. And I didn't want to like leave him at the hospital. I wanted to sit there, but he's like, "This means a lot if you can go do this thing that I was supposed to do." So I go take him out, and that was kind of the first time I'd been away from him, and I just like had a breakdown emotionally, like hard. My dad and I are very, very close. In fact, we talk a couple times a day, mostly about the San Diego Padres, but we talk a lot, and we're very close knit family. And he's like my best friend, so I like losing him. Like it felt like hell. And I remember sitting in the car like, is this hell? Like it sure as hell feels like it. And I was like, okay. So I sang it into my phone, and literally like within 10 minutes, that entire song was written. I put all the notes in my phone, wrote every word to it, and sent the band, and I recorded the vocals. So they'd taken the car into the tire shop. So I'm like out in La Mesa in San Diego, out in this like warehouse district, and I'm behind this brick building singing the words into my phone, like for the demo for the band. We had already recorded the tracks for the album, and so I'm like crying and singing it into the GarageBand demo. I think for our Kickstarters, Jose, I don't know if you got a deep dive into all the tracks yet, but there's a
Not
demos. Yet. So in that I put demos for every song in that
Mhm.
GarageBand demo, and you can hear like my voice cracking in there because I'm like crying and I'm standing outside in a parking lot, and you can see people like looking like, what's this dude screaming and crying about into his phone? But I'm recording that song and sent it to the studio producer guy who recorded the album. I said, is this the best thing we've recorded? And he wrote back unequivocally, yes. We need to put this on the album. I said, well, I'd like to use it to raise money for people going through this because my dad's got good insurance. Like, again, we didn't know how much time we have, but at least they can pay for it, pay for the best doctors and all that kind of stuff, right? And like get treatment. But a lot of people don't. So I found an organization called Project Purple that specifically raises money and like has very little overhead. The majority of their money goes to like help people who cannot pay for treatment or cannot pay for like end of life care. And I just said, if I can get partnered up with them and release the song and tell people to donate to them, then maybe that saves somebody's life in my dad's name. So that was, again, in hindsight, very difficult to sing at those words and acknowledge them. It actually took me, I'd already sent it to the band, and we went to the studio with the drummer, met me up at the studio, and we recorded it before I ever even played it for my parents. So like a month had elapsed because I didn't know how to like tell them. This is just, again, we're in the middle of like trying to figure out how bad it is. I didn't want to like, oh, hey, if you guys want to feel worse, here's something you can cry over. I wrote a song about it. But I waited a month and just said, hey guys, I wrote this. This is how I'm feeling. I just want to be raw about it with you guys. They wrote back and they're like, it's beautiful. Wow, I can't believe you wrote that. That's incredible. And I'm like, yeah, I think we want to put it out as our single. So I actually put it out on my dad's birthday, May 19th. And we tied it into Project Purple. So that whole thing was very special to be able to do all those things and raise some money for Project Purple. I don't know how much, that campaign's over, but like, again, even if it's like a few bucks that goes to somebody who needs it, like that's awesome. And my dad's well, and maybe somebody, my idea now is, as a musician, I find it's very cathartic for me to write my feelings. And the songs, like if you listen to the majority of our music, even from Too Old, it's very autobiographical. Like there's 3 songs that are just about meeting my wife on there. And then there's, or 2, and then 1 song that's actually about her that she was like, you can't write that in Girl with a Horse. And I wrote it. And I was like, oh, I can't write it. Here, watch me write it. And it was, we liked it. But the second album, same thing, stays in that autobiographical vein. But I think we hadn't really done anything that serious. And so it was a very serious turn. 91X in San Diego picked it up and actually played it on the air. So we got commercial airplay on that, which is like, again, I don't know how many like middle tier little ska bands going right now can say they've actually had a song on the freaking radio. We might be the only ones or one of a couple. But that's what's happened. Like people gravitated to it and embraced it. And I just said, these words, I wrote them for you all who are like going through pain. And if you can't find the words, please feel free to use mine and make them your own, which is why one of our, words is bleeped out. And we did that on purpose. Again, in the liner notes, you can read all about it, Jose. In the liner notes I sent out, and it's a mystery, like, what did Dino sing there? And it was, I'll never tell. But we left it blank because we wanted people to be able to express their own feelings into the song and like not feel like it has to be my word. It can be their word. So whatever they want to put in there, they could. And, I got some friends going through some stuff, friends who I've never even met, but who I love dearly. Mike and I share friends in common who are like going through this. I'm like, here's my song. And I don't know if it does anything for you, but these are words that I wrote that were cathartic for me. I hope that you can, that can be words for you and your own healing as well.
Do you feel that that was something that you needed to get through to help you deal with what was you were going through at the time?
Oh,
To write it all
100%.
out and get it all out on paper and music
Yeah,
and
because
express it?
yeah, because I tend to be like a pretty upbeat. Mike, you've been around me. Like, I tell me if this is BS or not, but I tend to be like a pretty upbeat, positive, fun personality. Like in general in life. Is that your experience, Mike?
Yeah, yeah. Unless we're staying at a crack house and your wife refuses to go in there.
That's a very good point. In which case, yes. But I mean, sometimes, again, you're on tour and things are different. But for the most part, like I tend to be pretty upbeat and fun and like silly and sarcastic and stuff like that. But um, to just lay my heart bare for people in that song and just be like, yeah, life sucks right now. And I can just tell you it sucks. And because sometimes life sucks and you have to deal with these heavy things. And again, when I wrote the song, I didn't know what was going to happen. Um, but other people are going through hell. There was a video posted on TikTok that had "Is This Hell?" the chorus behind a bunch of pictures of like what's going on in the Middle East right now.
Cool.
And I'm like, yeah, or not the Middle East. What's going on in our country right now, like in LA?
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, I get those two things confused. I'm not getting into politics, but like all the imagery is the same, right? The bombings and the fires and the military and all that. So again, no political commentary, just the imagery on the news, and it was put out there, and I, we posted that, reposted it, and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of people grabbed onto it. So I guess in a lot of ways, the song can apply. Is This Hell? Can apply to like anything. Like going through a divorce. Yes, divorce can be hell. It can be heaven and hell, I guess, right? I've been through one. But if you have a sick kid, if you lost a job, if you lost your house, if you can't find a job, I mean, there's like everyone's got stuff going on. And so I hope the song can be cathartic for them.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So
My
you talked
pleasure.
a little bit about your writing process, but what is your writing process when you go into writing a song?
Oh man, I typically I'll get a nugget of an idea and I'll record it into my voice memo, into my phone, my voice recorder, usually in the middle of the night, or because I get kind of like when I get into writing modes, I get kind of like lost. And my family now, they kind of realized it, and they're like, it kind of pisses them off. Like if my wife and I are like having a romantic evening and she says something, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, gosh, that's a good lyric. And she sees the look on my face, and then I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. She'll literally be like, and she'll be like, did I write another song? And I'm like, no, I just had to pee because I'm like, but yeah, it'll just kind of start with a nugget, but then once I kind of get into it, the songs tend to come together like as a whole package very quickly. On these two albums, I'm too old. I was responsible for like probably every note on that album. On this one, I wrote everything on the album, music and lyrics, except for the second horn line on one of our songs called I Love You, I Meant It. The horn guys came in and said, this part's a little boring. Can we do this? And I was like, yes. And so like in the credits, it even says like everything written by Dino except the horn line, and which we wrote together. And I just wanted to give them props, but they knew that coming into the band that I was doing a lot of like heavy lifting. I mean, I dropped 24 mostly done songs on their lap, and we picked the ones for the album, and Forget About Tomorrow wasn't even in the mix yet. So like we selected them together. We've been playing them. Our drummer is like, he's not really a ska familiar drummer. I've let him do what he does well and what he does best. He's a great guy. He's very intuitive. So that contributes to the sound and kind of pushes it maybe out of what in my mind I would be like the he brings a little bit more of like a rock feel to it, which I love. The bass players, I just kind of let them run with whatever. The studio producer Corey Gracie and Knucklehead Studios, he and I produced this thing side by side, and he was very instrumental in like coming up with some of those ideas and some of the little like earworm nuggets, the little ear candy that you hear throughout the album. And so, but the songs for me, when I'm in writing mode, tend to come together very, very quickly, and very easily. And I promised the band that I was going to shut down my writing process brain for the next album, because I really don't just want to like, I don't want to be Paul McCartney in the studio. Okay, I'm not Paul McCartney, but you know what I mean. I don't want to be Paul McCartney in the studio being like, hey, John Lennon, this is how you play guitar. This is how you play drums. I didn't want to do that. So as we continue to write, I've told the guys, like, bring everything to the table. I'm going to leave my nuggets alone. I'm going to, you know, when we get to writing again, I don't know when that'll be. It's probably going to be a while. We're going to live into this one for a while. This took us a year and a month to record. So like 13 months in the studio recording this out. And when you hear it finally, you'll be like, oh, that sounds like it took a year to record. It's very robust. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like a different writing process next time around. I'll probably stay as like the main songwriter. But like that, you know, I like the idea of like us coming together, collaborating on the sounds. And if we put the next album out, it's written by Foolish Relics, all songs and lyrics, I'm like, great. I don't need the kudos. Like, I don't need the props. It's just been my baby for a while.
Nice. Okay.
Now, I see here on the first album, Too Old, you had guest vocals. You had Brittany Luna from Catbite on the first one. On the new one, you've got Craig from Bucko 9 and Spy Kids on the Ghosted song. You've got John Roy on there as well, as a guest musician, right? On there?
John was on the first album. He played on 20, 25, 30 years. Actually, he didn't play. He sang in the bridge. John Roy, I got John Roy and John Arkilla from G-Spot, Beta 7 to sing together in the bridge, because they were like two of my influences growing up. And I wanted both the Johns in there. So I like used bits and pieces, and John Roy did a harmony, really cool. He was on the first album, not on the second one.
Got it.
Yeah, on the second one. So the first album I had Brittany on there, had John Roy, John Arkilla. Let's see here. Trying to think of who else was on there. Eichler's obviously produced all of Thank You for Skanking and sang on it. So, but I love the collabs. Yeah, Brittany was let's be honest, Brittany was a get.
Yeah.
Like, love Catbite. They were, you know, just as we were releasing Too Old, I guess Nice One had come out. So like every show, I'm hearing, you know, I'd hear the classics on any of the ska show, right? So you hear like the bands, you know, and then you hear the new bands, and it's like, all right, well, that was Catbite with what was their song at the time? It was Bad Influence. And that was Foolish Relics. And I'm like, wait, like, how the heck are we like in the same, like, this is crazy. These guys are like touring, and they got this label that's cool with Bad Time, and like they're doing stuff. But yeah, I'd come across Catbite in the writing process or in the recording process, and Brittany was a very late addition. And the song Words on Bathroom Walls is, again, one of our more serious songs too. It's an anti-bullying song, and we recorded a music video for it. And Brittany, I had sent her an email and said, hey, here's the tone of the song. I'd love for you to sing on it. I love you guys. I think you're great. And, you know, I really want like it was about a true story about a girl who was getting bullied at the high school where my kids went. And I wanted the female perspective on that song to kind of stand up for this kid. I told her the story, and so she said, yeah, that sounds great. And then like, I didn't hear anything from her. She's like, yeah, I'll get it done. And then like, didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden I get an email with like, hey, here's your tracks. And I'm like, I listened to them. She's like, yeah, I recorded some harmonies, and, you know, take what you want. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, that's her voice. Like, so that was a big deal. That was a really big
Nice.
deal for us. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Also to piggyback on that one, on the new album with the Ghosted song with Craig from Buck09, I love
Yes.
how on Bandcamp you're charging a $1.09 for that song download.
Right? You like
Yeah,
that?
that's
Yes.
kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, duh. Um, yes, and like I said, we have a Ghosted is on the new album. It's the fifth track on side one, and we did an album mix. And Mike, why don't you talk about? You heard both, and you talk about Ghosted, Mike, and your experience with it.
Ghosted has always been my all-time favorite Foolish Relics song. So when you did the album mix, he sent me both versions and goes, listen to each one of these and tell me what you think. So I listened to each one and then immediately picked up the phone and called you.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how the rest of the conversation
What
went.
what did you say, Mike? What was your opinion?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Absolutely. I loved it. But I mean, everything we talked about, I don't remember all the details. I mean, I was like really kind of overwhelmed at how great it actually was.
Yeah, it's got some cool nuggets in there. We added a little bit different punch to the guitars in the mix, and the bass in the original version had been very buried, but there were some really cool bass lines in the breakdown that came out in the mix. So a little bit of different vocal sauce, but yeah, it's sounds like the Ghosted, but like it has a little bit more texture, a little bit more punch to it, I think, and
That's
some
great.
cool little
We
like
did talk
earworms.
about the bass.
Yes, Mike said I didn't think I could like it better with the new mix, but I do.
Got it.
I did say, Jesus, see what happens when you get old?
Yes.
You forget everything.
Well, I remember all the good things, Mike. If you said something bad about it, I would be like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Was that song written from personal experience?
Yeah, my a friend, a friend of mine
A friend
was
in quotations?
no, this is not. Yeah, no, this is
Okay.
not. That would be bad because I've been married for the last 7.5 years to Jen, the girl with a horse. But a friend of mine, this is a couple years ago, had just gotten out of a long-term relationship and was like having a horrible time of it, and had started online dating. And I was like, well, what's that like? And he's like, it's kind of weird, blah, 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 blah. He starts telling me about dates he's going on. And this is, of course, like right after the album had come out. So the album had only been out for 5 months and was doing well before we were back in the studio to record Ghosted. And my buddy's sitting there. I remember sitting having a drink at a bar over here. And he's like, yeah, I got this one girl and she really likes me, but I think she likes me too much. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, she's cool. And she's cool, just maybe not my type. I'm like, okay, well, just let her down gently. He goes, no, I think I'm gonna ghost her. And it was the first time. I mean, and this guy's like my age, okay, like, and I'm sitting here in my mind, I'm going like, first off, what a pansy, like, what a jerky thing to do. Like, why would you do that? What does ghosting really mean? Like, I'm like, because I'm thinking all these things, and I go home. I'm driving home, and I'm like, I wonder what getting ghosted feels like. I wonder what getting ghosted feels like. Is this what getting ghosted feels like? And I literally like that. I grabbed my phone and recorded it. And I think I might have put that demo in the box for in the folder for the Kickstarter backers as well. But yeah, it just started like that. And then I just took a character who is nothing like my friend, because my friend's actually a really nice guy. I just think because he was dating for the first time in like 20 years, didn't really know how to handle these situations and was just kind of processing it out loud. I don't know if he actually ghosted her or not, but it did write the song, and I put the song in the perspective of a guy who's probably got like a dose of toxic masculinity going and can never imagine that he would go on a date where the woman he's out with wouldn't want to like stay in touch with him and keep it going. So throughout the course of the song, he's like got a very rosy perspective on what's happened on this date. Like everything's cool, but she split pretty quick, but it's cool because I'm sure she'll call me later because I'm so cool. All that, it's just kind of that's the vibe, and he kind of comes to the realization that he probably did get ghosted after all the verses are done, and that's when we break into the punk section of the song, where in my mind I wish we would have recorded a music video, but those things cost a lot of money, to do right. But my mind was the character's driving along in his car saying like, is this what getting ghosted feels like? And he realizes it. And he like mashes on the gas. And then, in a movie where like all the lights start going like in an LA freeway and you're the only thing moving and all the lights are flashing like that. That was like going on during that section frantically, where the guy is like, oh crap. And then like he pulls over at the side of the road, starts breathing heavy. And that's when the breakdown happens. And it's just what getting ghosted feels like. He's processing the reality of what happened. And in the album mix, you'll actually hear a scream that I recorded. And I don't know how I got to the note of the scream, but it got buried in the original mix. And you can actually hear it at the end of kind of the breakdown. You can hear, a big loud scream off in the distance of the reality of what's happened. So it takes the guy who's just honestly a prick. It takes him a while to figure it out, but he figures it out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you knew all that, right, Mike?
I did. Yes. You and I we've talked about this more than once.
Yeah. We should just record that music video someday just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Just like really low budget with our phones or something.
We interviewed Chris Grau last night from Loser. I don't know, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, yes. Chris
yes.
Yeah, so Chris, he does all those videos, and he works with the
Yeah.
Eichlers too, and everybody else. So maybe, I don't know, if you're in town and he wants to do something because he's from here.
Yeah. No, I know Chris actually, so when it comes down to recording, like, and we're the same way when we play shows, like we try not to do things at a cut rate, and we try on our end to make sure nobody ever insinuates that we should. Mm-hmm. So like, I've known Chris a little bit here and there. We played a show together in Florida last year. We talked, and actually we talked about doing a video for this album for the Childlike Empress song. And we had it all mapped out, and it got so far actually, because we were going to release that as a single last year. I'm glad we didn't, but we wanted to release it for the 40th anniversary of Neverending Story, because that's what that song is about. And I guess I'm talking about a song that hasn't been released yet, so you guys don't know it, but I wrote a song called Childlike Empress. It's from a perspective of a 5-year-old who's sick at home. And what did we do in the 80s, guys? What's the first thing we did in the morning when we were sick at home? What were we watching on TV?
Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Drinking ginger ale.
But
all
no,
right,
but
so
Price is Right didn't come on until about 10 o'clock.
Right. Well, yeah, when you're sick,
I never woke up that late. I was watching whatever was on early.
Okay. So get to 10 o'clock, and Price is Right is on. And so I start with like Price is Right's on. And as soon as it's done, my mom like just throws a stack of videotapes from the store down, and I'm rifling through them. And I see one with this like flying white dog on the front. It intrigues me. I pop it in, and then it goes through. It's Neverending Story.
Uh-huh.
And so Falcor, the flying white dog from Neverending Story. And so I tell the storyline of the movie from like my 5-year-old perspective, and even some of the language I use is like spoken as if I was 5 years old. But the catch is that I've never seen anything so beautiful as the Childlike Empress. So I fell in love as a 5-year-old that day. And like my 5-year-old me is still in love and will be for eternity, because she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen at that point. Mm-hmm. So we wrote Childlike Empress, and we wanted to do a video. And Chris was like, man, it'd be cool if we could pay the actors who are like, everyone's kind of coming out of COVID and still not working. And the Screen Actors Guild was on strike. He's like, I bet you we could get the actors to make a cameo. We would just have to go out to where they're at and film them. So once we started putting the budget together, even with Chris's like best efforts, it was like either record that or do an album, literally. Like, so and again, we wanted to do this like low budget video where I'm playing my 5-year-old self with my beard and I'm sick at home watching Neverending Story and Price is Right and all that kind of stuff. So, and we wanted the cameo from the actors who played the Childlike Empress and Atreyu. So I was in talks with both of them pretty significantly. I sent her the song, and I'm not sure, she ghosted me, kind of. I'm not sure if the song like creeped her out. And I tried to explain, like, I'm not still in love with you. I'm like married. But like, it's possible that she was just like, I'm running away from this as far as possible. But Noah Hathaway is really cool. He's friends with Angelo from Fishbone. He actually grew up in their neighborhood. So when Fishbone was getting their start, he was like a kid in the punk scene. And he's got a mohawk that kind of Mohawk might rival Noah Hathaway. So maybe he would have done something quick. And then Chris and I had a lot of ideas, but they didn't play out, and that's life. Like, probably music video doesn't happen unless all of a sudden some big label picks us up and throws money at us, which is fun.
That horse scene with the quicksand is one of the cinema's like saddest parts.
Yes.
It is, and it does come up in the song.
Oh, okay. I gravitated more towards Labyrinth because of Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, not because of David Bowie and those tight pants.
No.
But yeah, no. So I mean, I talk about the horsey dying, and I check out this rhyme. It says, I'm sure I cried when the horsey died.
Oh.
So yeah, and I use the word horsey on purpose because that's what I would have said as a 5-year-old. Mom, the horsey died, as I'm like traumatized for the rest of my life. And then there's a secret track on the album that plays off of Childlike Empress. So everyone who buys it should listen after the final track, keep it spinning, because there's a really cool, special little secret track that touches my heart, at least. Hopefully will touch yours.
Nice. So do you have any pre-show or on the road rituals?
We drink Mike's bourbon.
Okay.
We stay in hotels.
You stay in hotels.
The luxury.
Well, wait a second here, Michael. You stayed in one flop house one time, okay?
Right, but for the most part, we stayed in Airbnbs.
Well, okay. If we're gonna split hairs, they stayed in like 3 and 4 bedroom Airbnbs. I'm really sorry. You all had your own bedrooms, I'm sure. I got to stay with my kids. So, anyway, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so, no, pre-show rituals, I mean, we just, like, loosen up. We just have fun. We feel like the looser we are, the more enjoyable we're going to be. Like, people will gravitate to that.
Uh-huh.
And I think, like, when we're on the road, we mix up our set list every night because we've got, like, I would say, if I had to pull off a show, like tomorrow, I think I know what our set list would be, but there's a couple things that I could throw at the guys that I know we could pull off. And then for our Scalabama show, there's things that will come up. That's our album release show that we haven't played yet, ever. But like, we've probably got like a good 12 to 14 songs that we could play at any given time based on the first album covers that we kind of had made our own and the new album stuff. Mm-hmm. So, we're playing a lot of 25, 30-minute sets. We had a few 40 and 45-minute sets, like 10, 11 songs. I think, did we take 16 songs on the road last year, Mike?
I don't remember the exact number. What I remember was I had a photo of the whiteboard with all the rules. These are the must-play songs. Always end with "Thank you for skanking." And then, so we're driving, and there's 5 of us packed into Nate's car, right?
No, and I'm in my car with my family. So this is like apart from me. So this is where like I have fun because I'm like, I don't want to come up with tonight's set list. I don't want to do everything for the band. You guys decide what we're playing and let me know. So
every day I'm sitting in the back of Nate's car, and I put the set list together and I run it through everybody else. Hey, everybody cool with this? And I send it to Dino. And Dino says, yeah, let's swap this for that. Or most of the time you were okay with it. It was only, I think, maybe once you said, hey, let's swap this and play it after that one. But
yes. Yeah, and then one time I think I put the set list together for the Bim Scala Bim show, and you guys all overruled me because you said we need to play Bridget at the beginning. That's our like opening song for sure.
yes.
And so again, I think it's a very like, we have a lot of good back and forth communication with like how those decisions are made, and it's not like just Dino decides, and here's what we're doing tonight, guys. So for me, it's fun because if they send a song that I'm like, every once in a while, by the way, I screw up a song or I don't know the lyrics and I have to like figure it out. And so it makes it fun for me to be like, okay, how does that one go? And even songs I wrote like and performed acoustically before the band ever heard them, like Forget About Tomorrow, I probably have screwed that song up more than any other song because it's like I think it's in B flat. Yeah, it's in B flat, so I have to play E flat like way up the neck on guitar. It's a horrible key. So I capoed it up and just play it in D. Gets me there, but like every once in a while I forget to do the capo and I'll hit the first chord and the horns are playing like a half step away and I'm just like, what is going on here? Like this is not okay. But I'd say that's our best ritual. And then again, we sip on some bourbon. We don't have like a heavy drinking band, but we like have a sip to take the edge off before the show and loosen up. We like to hang out at venues and hang out with the other bands when we can and all that kind of stuff. We like to support whenever we go. So
if Mike handles all the business, that's when Mike shines when you guys get to the club.
That's a funny story because good question because actually I didn't know anything about any of this, right? Dino's like, hey, you're our tour manager. And then Charles from some ska band, he's sending me messages. Now, I've known Charles since I met Charles in person at Supernova in 23. So we've been friends since then. And Charles is sending me messages going, hey, who's backlining this? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm going back to Dino, goes, what the hell does this mean? I don't know what he's talking about. And so Dino had to explain to me what backlining is and some other things. But yeah, I mean, once I knew the terminology, I think I did fairly well with it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, he did great. And what it is like the first tour, like literally every aspect of it was on me because not only am I fronting the band, I did all the logistics too. And I'm driving my kids around. And like we're in a hotel. So if my, at the time, 3-year-old is like, I'm waking daddy up at 2:30 in the morning and I just went to bed at 1. Like, that's not good. And then I have to sing tomorrow. And I was driving my family, like my wife's chilling. She's like, oh, I'm tired. And I'm like, that's cool. I'll just keep driving to the gig and play the show, make the big money. So
I think there was 2 times on that tour where I just told you, Dino, stop, relax, I've got this.
Yes, and that was enough. So like what it was is on this tour, because I knew Mike was learning and he was just going to do whatever needed to be done. And I kind of had already done it and have done it in the past. So, but it was nice to not feel the entire burden of that. To the point now where like we scheduled this interview and I'm like, yeah, Mike, that's great. It's on my calendar, but you're going to need to remind me like every single day until it happens because it's a Thursday night. I'll be sitting here playing with my kids in the pool and totally space out. Mm-hmm. So it sounds dumb and I'm very like organized. I'm good with schedules, but like not having to think about like my life and my family, and my kids' schedules and my work schedules and the band schedule and every interview I have to do and who it's with and what's the link and where, I could just be like, Mike, do you have this? And he's like, I got it. So it's that much of a relief on me. And it helps me like enjoy doing this more than he ever knows. Like he does more than he'll ever give himself credit for in terms of just having somebody for me to hand things off to.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just a good dude, and he brings great energy and keeps everyone happy and positive and gives us bourbon. He provides all the bourbon for the band.
And I buy good bourbon.
Yes, he does.
I am legit. I am a, I don't know how much y'all know, but I gotta plug my phone in here. Sorry. I brew beer at home, and I am an absolute bourbon snob as well. So
That's awesome, man.
It's so good.
Cool.
I love
Oh,
cleaning off of that part of our relationship, actually. I'll mooch off that.
yeah, in fact, I haven't even tried it yet. I brewed it, and it had to leave to come down here, and it was in the fermenter at a friend of mine's house, and he kegged it up for me. But I have, because I like really hoppy West Coast style IPAs,
Yes.
and so I have one, a West Coast that I call the Hop Hooligan, and and it's like you would think, pine resin and citrus and that, and then I've been telling Dino that I was gonna brew a Thank You for Skanking IPA for, God, how long, Dino? At least a year.
Yes.
And I finally brewed it a couple weeks ago, and I left it at my buddy's house in the fermenter, and he transferred it into a keg for me. And it's only a 5-gallon batch, but it's got nearly 2 pounds of hops in it. And
Wow.
all of those hops were added after the boil and during fermentation. So I mean, they are all strictly for flavor and aroma and not for bittering. And he tasted it the other day, sent me photos, and said, "This is fabulous." And he doesn't even like hoppy beers. He's like, "I can't believe how good this is. I was so worried when I saw the amount of hops you put in it." So
you double dried hop that batch?
yes, yeah,
Yeah, double dried hop. Nice.
I put like 2 ounces in, like very late in you're boiling for 60 minutes. So 15 minutes before it finished, I put in like 2 ounces, and then put in, over half a pound while it was whirlpooling and cooling down, and then put in over another half a pound while it was, dry hopping.
Nice. What's your favorite strain to use for the hops?
Oh,
Cascade, obviously, maybe?
huh?
Cascade?
No, I don't use a lot of Cascade. And it's funny because before I started brewing, I didn't really like it, but I seem to use a lot of Mosaic now.
Okay.
I like Mosaic. I like the Centennial, and I like a lot of the C's, Centennial, Chinook, and those West Coast style hops. What I gravitate to most.
But Mike, now it's accurate to say this is going to be more of like a New England hazy.
Oh yes, this is a very much a New England hazy.
And because the band typically, like, in the, everyone has their own beer that they like, but when you have to pick something in the middle that everyone has to drink, we usually end up with like a hazy alongside something very generic like a Stella or something like that. And
Nice.
And the hazy always goes fat first. And so the band tends to like that. It's my favorite beer, so I asked Mike if he could make Thank You for Skanking hazy, and if it's as good as you say, I think we're all in for a treat at Scalabama, man.
I hope
Nice.
I hope everybody likes it. And I have my my Angry Samoan.
Yes, you do.
So I have that on
Nice.
tap as well.
Yep.
Nice. Now, I tried brewing also, and
Huh?
I tried the Warrior hops. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but I
Yes.
kind of like the Warrior hops. Yeah.
Yeah, I have talking about the Angry Samoan is I have a brown ale that I made, and while it was boiling, I added a box of Samoa Girl Scout cookies, and then instead of dry hopping it with hops while it was fermenting, I dry hopped it with another box of Samoa Girl Scout cookies. So it's really dark brown. When you smell it, it smells like toasted coconut, but when you drink it, it tastes like chocolate. It's kind of cool.
That works. I just like drinking it. And Mike's going to be hanging out. The band's getting together Saturday for one of our legendary rehearsals before Scalabama. Mike will be here. So are you going to bring something good, Mike? You're staying overnight?
Yeah, I'll bring something good. I will.
I just wanted to give you some of the cred.
I don't drink crappy bourbon. You know that.
Yes, no, he will not. And then he always accidentally leaves it here.
Ah,
which is like that just is a testament to Mike's character. He'll accidentally leave it here, and I'll be like, "You left your like $1,000 bottle of bourbon." It's not, but I mean, on my kitchen counter, he goes, "Oh, whoops! I guess you'll have to drink it," and that's just who Mike is.
sweet.
Nice.
So let's talk about Scalabama. Now, how excited are you guys for the show? You said it's the record release show. Looks like it's going to be a good time for all. I saw that crazy flyer with goats and pigs, and is there going to be a barnyard there?
No, you know, okay, so let me give you a little history on that. All right. So Birmingham, Alabama is, I mean, basically, I mean, it was a steel town back in the day, right? Well, it's not anymore. But we have two things we're kind of famous for these days, which one is the Vulcan, which is a giant, statue, giant figure up on top of Red Mountain. And the other is called Storyteller Fountain. On the south side of Birmingham, it's called Five Points, 5 roads all come together. And there's a church there. And I don't know why the fountain is where it is, but it's called Storyteller Fountain. And there's a figure, like, a man with a goat head reading a book. And all these other animals are placed around the fountain, like they're just engrossed in the story that's being told by the goat. But the weirdest thing is the church there, because most people, because of the goat, they say, oh, that's a devil worshiping fountain in front of a church. And it's really not. But it gets a bad rap for that. But that's why the animals and the goat and all that stuff are on the logo, because it's one of the things that Birmingham, the Vulcan is on that flyer as well.
The back side or the front side, Michael?
What?
The back or the front of the Vulcan?
The front. It shows the guy with the beard, and he's got like the tip of the spear in his hand or whatever.
It's not the back side of him that shows his butt cheeks?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Now, which bands are you guys excited to play with out there?
None of them. I think I'm just excited for all of them to watch us play. No, honestly, we're super stoked. They contacted us pretty early. We'd already played at True Story in Birmingham. This is, in that sense, our second. This is our second time playing in Birmingham. Like, this is the first time we've done a city 2 times, and we're honored. We had a blast there, and really got on board. Like, didn't know who else was going to be there. Didn't know how big it was going to be, and just said, like, count us in. We love you guys. Love to be a part of it. So. Of course, our friends from Florida, Fuakata, are coming up. They're going to be out on tour. We're kind of like at the end of the night on Saturday night, so kind of in the co-headlining spot with the Bracers. Excited to see them coming all the way from California. Taj Motel Trio from Atlanta, Left Hand Hot Dog from Atlanta, and Curtis from Monkey is coming out from California now with the Bracers.
Yeah,
and
nice.
We've got actually something special planned with him as well. So, I think it's just, and I could go through all the bands. Over Seasons is cool. We played with them last time, and they're kind of the house band at True Story. And apparently they added horns to their band, and they were more of like a punk, foursome. And now they've got horn section and kind of maybe lean more into the punky ska thing. So, there's a lot of great bands that are going to be up there. I think it's just going to be a big party. I think the vibes are great. It's like ridiculously well priced, so people can come and they can bring their kids and they can bring their families, and just, I think it's going to be a love fest. I'm super excited about it. To the point that this is the only show that we actually have this summer, like on purpose.
Oh. Yeah, it's a very kid-friendly atmosphere. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, we have the Bracers on Wednesday. Those guys.
Yeah,
Those
I
guys.
talk to Jules all the time.
Yeah. But your friends in Fuakata, is that how it's saying?
Fuakata. You gotta line up the accent.
Fuakata.
Wakata.
One of the members of that band is also is on one of your songs on the new album, right?
No, on the old album.
On the
Sophia, the trumpet player, she plays trumpet on Thank You for Skankin'. And I said, hey, here's an idea. And she sent me like 18 tracks, tripled trumpets, octaves, harmonies. So we just like threw a ton of it at it. And that's why it sounds like there's a lot of kind of echoey trumpets in that song
Got it.
with the synthesizers. So
Nice.
Yeah, but the real party's going to be at my house.
the after party.
I've got like 15 people staying at my house that weekend.
That's awesome.
Nice. I got a quick question for Mike. Mike, I need a card for Monopoly Go. Skiff spectacle.
Yeah, I already finished the whole thing, so I'm starting it all over. But yeah, that's a funny thing that you brought up, though. You know, because I enjoy playing Monopoly Go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you guys do for downtime?
I play Monopoly Go.
You know what Dino does? He has 4 kids.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time in my pool and with my kids, and I like to go to the beach. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go back to the beach, guys. All right, there it is. I like to go to the beach and hang out with my wife and kids. They keep me busy. Again, from 19 down to 5. It's just, but yeah, we have a lot of fun as a family. We like to travel. Again, this last 2 summers touring and managing those tours was a lot. So I told the family, or I was told by the family, that we're not touring again this summer. They granted me the opportunity to do the show in Birmingham, which we're excited about, on our way out to the West Coast. So,
Okay.
but yeah, no, I just, keep busy, have a good time. I listen to a lot of music. I got my record player down there and listen to a lot of music by the pool. I wired up some speakers. Mike, you haven't seen my speakers by the pool yet,
No.
but they're all wired up, ready to roll, so we can throw on some records and sip our bourbon.
Yeah, cool. Now
Nice.
that you mention it with your background there, Back to the Beach. Annette Funicello and Fishbone might have been my first ska experience. I think that came out in '87. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Okay.
But hey, speaking of Monopoly Go, I don't know how many friends you have that play this, aside from me. And it's funny because I was sitting here doing whatever, and the thing popped up on my phone, said, hey, so, Ska Force tried to shut down your landmark over there. I was like, Ska Force, I have to know who that is. And I'm searching, trying to find you. And then you send me a message while I'm looking to try and figure out who it was. But, do you know who else plays?
Who?
Bubba Sanchez plays.
Oh.
Bob from not Inspector 7, Hub City Stompers plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's quite a few ska people that actually play that game on their phones.
Actually, I think there's a new version coming out at Supernova this year. It's called Muscopoly Go.
What?
Or Scanopoly Go. Because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we just hijack normal words and put ska into them.
Yeah. Dude, well, I got to friend those guys on Monopoly Go now.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike, can you put all their screen names up right now on the video so that you don't have to send messages to everyone individually? Just put just out them now.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
So I got one last question, guys. Now picture the Ska History Hour viewers discovering you guys for the first time. Which track should they queue up and why?
Go ahead, Dino.
Wow. Man, that's a really good question. Because we're so diverse, and we have a lot. I mean, even on the first album, we cover a lot of ground genre-wise. I would say maybe one of the most enduring songs off of that album would be "Words on Bathroom Walls." That's one with Brittany from Catbite. It's a pretty serious song. But then I think "Too Old" off the first album would also be another, like, it's up, and it just said that people literally were like, dude, you're too old to start a ska band. Like, and I'm like, oh, am I? And that's where the whole thing came from. I'm like, I can do whatever I want. I can make myself look hot on the album cover. I can tell my art friend I want to be on a pinball machine, and she'll be like, okay, let's put you on one. Like, I can be like, I want my handwriting on the back of the album, and that's the font we're using, and that's what we did. So, I mean, I could do whatever I wanted, but that album, that song itself shares a lot with just my own like attitude, which is what you see is what you get. And I'm not too old for anything. I'm going to keep doing what I want to do and have a good time. And it doesn't need to make money. It doesn't need to be popular. It doesn't need to be like any of that. So I would say the in terms of the second album, I would encourage people to at least, I would encourage them to listen through the entire album in order because it really is a journey. And I think this album will prove itself to be very robust. I mean, we recorded over 150 individual parts for this album. Wow. And yeah. And you know, if you think about that, like every single song has something to offer that's different than what you've heard. If you put the album on, if you heard our first album, and then you put on our album track 1 and the needle hit drops and you hear the opening drums of Bridget, I think you're like, what is this? Like, wow, Foolish Relics coming at it. And then you hear the first instrumental notes of the album. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but Mike knows what I'm talking. And it's like, it will throw you for such a loop from what you expected to hear out of our band before we get you into what you expect to hear out of our band. So, but like side 1, I would put side 1 of the album up against any side of any album that's come out the last 5 years. I think it'll hold up. Right. I think it's very diverse. I think the songs are catchy. I think they're fun. The production is off the charts. You get into side 2, though, we have this interlude. Mohawk Mike plays on the album, gets a solo on the album. And our buddy Ox, who's 8 years old at the time when he recorded his drum parts, they play, like, we came up with a song for them to do together because it's like our old friend who's a beginner on sax and our young friend who's a beginner on drums. Let's put them together. There's a marching band on this album. There is a children's choir on this album. Wow. There's bagpipes, a ton of different horns. We recorded the drums in a church empty sanctuary, so they sound huge. There's a reggae song, the one with Dunia Best, that has like a sample vibe and sounds like something like Sugar Ray would have written in the 90s. There's a punk song. There's banjos and strings on Nickajack Lake and slide guitars that gives it like a ska country feel. So again, I think honestly, I don't know that I could pick a song off of the second album. I just would say give yourself 45 minutes because that's how long it is. This is a 45-minute journey. And give yourself 45 minutes, listen to it from front to back, and tell me that you're not still singing half of the songs in your head at the end of it.
Awesome.
Mike, what would you say? Ghosted?
I would say Ghosted. Basically the same way you started. Listen to it all the way through, and then go back and listen to Ghosted again.
Okay.
Because Ghosted has been my favorite when it was just a single, you know? And, you know, I mean, for me, Ghosted is always going to be up here, you know?
And we just put out a song called Sweet Oasis. That's like, it's not a single, but it's our like pre-album track. And it's the summery reggae thing. I mean, there's like, literally there's like scratching in the breakdown. Like, again, an old like Sugar Ray song from the 90s with a sample. And Dunia did an incredible job with the sample that we asked her to do vocally. It's awesome. But that song, again, is very different than anything else we recorded. It sounds like I recorded it at the beach that I'm sitting on right now. And it just, Mikey Rude said, Dino, like, I cannot get this song out of my head. It's an earworm. And I'm like, there's no better compliment than that to a songwriter. We put 13 months of studio recording like of our life into this album. I think
Wow.
it shows.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah.
Now, in October, you guys are going to be festing.
Oh, we are festing.
You guys are
That's
festing.
right.
But there's like a million bands on this. Are you guys going to get lost in that shuffle? What, I mean, how does this even go about? Is this your first time?
Yeah, this is our first time festing, and we won't get lost in the shuffle because, you ready for this? We're at the very bottom of the poster. Okay, but we're in the bottom right corner of the poster, but we're not the last thing on the poster. We're on the second to last line. So you never want to be the last band listed,
And
right?
we're in bright green.
We're in bright green instead of the orange. So if you look at the fest poster and go all the way down to the bottom right, you will see Foolish Relics at the bottom right corner. They're trying some new things. They actually said they have a new stage opportunity for ska specifically. The people who own this, like, because Fest spreads out over all of downtown Gainesville.
Yeah.
And so I guess there's this area where there's like a performance area in between these 4 like B&B type cottages, and they're going to set up a stage in there, and it's going to be an all ages ska venue. Last year, Mike can attest to this. They put all the ska bands inside, like all the.
We were inside a bookstore.
Well, but the big ska bands were at Heartwood, and then the second level of ska bands were in basically a bookstore, like a library that looks like a tornado shelter. It's like 10 feet wide by 6 feet deep, and they crammed 50 people into this place plus a ska band, and people were outside, like they were opening the doors, but Mike, you were there. There's like no air, and
there was no air movement at all.
Oh no,
at all. And I don't know if y'all seen any of the videos or pictures or whatever, but to see, Adam with Tara up on his shoulders.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, to see that live was absolutely it was great. I mean, it was because, who would expect that? Adam's 6'4" on his own.
Yeah.
And Tara's 5 foot, at 5 foot, 5'2", whatever. But no, it was a great show. And they made the most of the venue, but oh my God, it was packed. Yeah, I mean, if the fire marshal had walked by, he probably would have shut it down. I mean, it was packed.
And people were bummed out because they didn't get to see their favorite bands that they came to see because they closed the doors. And so they found a bigger venue. And I think that's where we probably end up. I don't know who we're playing with yet, but a bunch of our friends are on the list, and we're stoked. I mean, we're honest, to be a part of Fest is special, and it's an easy gig for us because it's just 3 hours away, and we always wanted to do it. So to get the call this year that, like, in a way it's like, oh, you've achieved enough like notoriety as a band to be invited to play Fest.
Right.
And there's a couple other opportunities talking to us as well about festival type things, and so we're excited. Again, at Ska Alabama, we were friends with all those people. And I think it's going to be a major big party. I think there's going to be probably more people there than expected originally, which is awesome. But Fest is epic. And this is the 23rd Fest. So to be on a poster with, Jeff Rosenstock and, that's for me, like the name that sticks out because I called him out twice actually in Thank You for Skanking. I called out Rosenstock and I called out oh my gosh, his Not Bomb the Music and Arium SOBs. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
But
yeah.
To answer the question, no, you're not gonna get lost in anything at Fest because the people that are there for the ska bands are going to see the ska band. I mean, it doesn't matter if you got to leave this venue and haul ass 2 blocks away to the next one to be there before they start playing. I mean, it happens. I mean, the people that are there for the ska won't miss the ska.
Yeah. I think I'm bummed that Propaganda had to drop off because that was like,
Yeah.
We called out Propagandhi also, who I think wrote the best ska song of all time, "Ska Sucks."
Yeah.
And we called them out in "Thank You for Skanking" too. But I was looking forward to that. But you know, it is what it is. Dillinger is going to be awesome. There's just a bunch. I mean, there's so many bands. We're
Yeah.
excited to be there.
Now, you guys have also been involved with the Specialized project in the UK. You did the Skank Up the 80s compilation with that modern English cover of I Melt With You. How did that whole thing come about?
Yeah, we actually were a part of Specialized the year before. We did the Punk Pioneers. We did a song by Talking Heads called "Pulled Up," and so they invite us to be a part. Mida Goodwin was the curator of the Punk Pioneers, so he got us hooked up with that the first time, and then we were known enough that they invited us back. We had been playing "I Melt With You" as like a reggae version, and liked it. We felt like we had a good thing going with the horns, but we got in the studio and we're like, hey, let's try something with this, and skanked it up. And we were like, oh, we like this a lot better. Let's just start playing it this way now. Actually, and Dan Vitale from Bim Scala Bim, he was curator last year, and he said, we really like "I Melt With You." We had a couple bands drop out last minute. Is there anything you could pull together quickly that's not Foolish Relics, like you solo? So we actually recorded a second song for last year, but it's listed under Dino plus Annie and Emily Roth. So Annie's my daughter, who's a part of Foolish Relics. She's our merch girl. And we did "Smooth Criminal" because I thought Annie singing "Annie, Are You Okay" in the background was like comical. And then my friend Emily Roth did the vocals of the verses from the perspective of the woman who's in the house getting, perpetrated upon. So I thought that was a cool slant, and they loved it, and they put it on there too. So we got 2 songs on Specialized last year, and we're going to be on Specialized coming up next year for the Femme Power comp. And I cannot tell you any more than that, but I think people are going to be blown away by what we did. Mike, you've heard it.
I've heard it. I've seen it live.
You've seen it live. We have played it, but we think this is maybe one of the finer things we've done as well. And we're excited to share that with everyone. I got to let Specialized announce that, but they wrote back quite an email about their appreciation for what we did with the song. So
nice. We'll just ask Mida about it. He'll give it up.
That's true. That's a good point. Mida will give it up.
He will.
If he even knows what's going on.
Oh yeah. Now, besides the Talking Heads and the Modern English and the Smooth Criminal, you guys did a cover for "On the Upbeat" on Arose Such a Clatter of Run DMC's Hollis and Queens.
Christmas in Hollis. Yes.
Oh, Christmas in Hollis. Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome one too.
They asked us to do it. They asked us to do a song, and I'm like, I want to do the most thinkable ska song we could possibly do, and it was that one. So I'm like, how do we pull this off? And they were like, well, somebody else did it, but it was like a version of what they'd recorded 10 years earlier, and it was just kind of like very straightforward. You guys made a little bit more of like a hip hop feel with the skank to it. So the funny thing is, I don't think I've admitted this publicly, but since we're on Sky History Hour, I might as well. So we get the comp out, and we're listening to it, and I hear it. I'm like, text the guys, and I'm like, hey guys, did we forget to sing the 3rd verse of Christmas in Hollis? And they're like, we don't know. You're the one who sent the arrangement. So I go back through my notebook, and I literally had buried page 2 of the lyrics in the back of my notebook. Oh. So I thought once we got to the end of page 1, we were done. So, but it was already too late. On the Upbeat was already putting it out. But we decided that this year we're going to correct it and release it. Like, we'll record that 3rd verse at the end, because it's supposed to end with Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Like, it just kind of ends in the middle of the story. Like, every day we sing Christmas carols. And then the horns fade out. It's just done. Like, so it's just kind of like an oversight. But we had a lot of fun with that. We're going to go back and finish it, and we're going to release it as a Christmas song, like on our own. So yeah, I'm going to send it to all the radio stations that play Christmas songs, and maybe like Jimmy Fallon Radio on Sirius XM will play Christmas in Hollis by Foolish Relics. I think it's a cool version of it. I think we did a great job with it. It's fun. Yeah. So, and it's very unexpected from ska band from Florida.
Now, what are each of your favorite current ska or punk bands?
Oh my God. Why don't you ask me which child I like better?
You know what? I'll tell you this right now. And I'm proud to say this. Buck-O-Nine put out what I believe is one of the hands down best albums for any ska band of maybe the last like 10 years. Their Cut Out the Noise is phenomenal front to back, and it's personal. It's very in depth, but they sound great. Anthony Curry isn't with the band. Tony isn't with the band anymore, but they have navigated the horns with just 2 horns, a trombone and a sax, come up with some kind of new textures for that. Phenomenal album, and has been kind of on repeat for me since the day it came out. Their first 2 singles came out. I was like, okay, like they're good. I'm eager to see what the whole project's out. And that's why we did this. That's why we didn't put a bunch of singles out. Like, I like the idea of the project and what's the story it's telling. So I think they tell a hell of a story, and it's a really, really good album. So if you haven't heard it yet out there in the world, Cut Out the Noise, Buck-O-Nine, go check it out. Give it a few spins. I would say that's my favorite album right now.
John Castro has been raving about it to me.
Yeah, seriously, like, yeah, you should definitely check it out. It's that.
Yeah, he said he was gonna see them a couple days ago. We spoke a few days ago. He's gonna pick up some stuff for Jose and I from them and have them sign it.
Yep.
I never told Jose that till now.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. I think when you look back at 2025, at the top of everyone's list is going to be Foolish Relics, Somebody Please Just Wake Me Up, and then you'll see Buck-O-Nine, Cut Out the Noise as the second best, and then there will be nothing else that came out all year. Like, nothing else will matter.
I think Jose's going to move down to San Diego and join them on trumpet.
Are you? Perfect.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I think that's what they want too. That's what they told me.
Right.
So.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, like I said, I don't know if I'll never turn off or switch away a Rancid song ever. I mean, people can say what they want about Tim Armstrong, whatever, and leading up to that, I mean, the Calamatics are going to Supernova, and I am fucking excited to see that.
Oh, I saw them a few weeks back. They're so fucking good. Like, their album is decent, but live, 100% better.
But again,
so good live.
If you don't see them live, you don't get the album because they don't have anything on Bandcamp. It's literally the worst business model you could ever have.
Yeah, I talked to Ray Lynn when we were over there at Punk Rock Bowling about them having, not having that stuff. And she said eventually they're going to get to it. So I don't know if they wanted to see how it would do first, and then they could do physical media. So I don't. It's kind of backwards, weird.
But yeah,
you know what? Hey, they're doing just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't have to run a Kickstarter. Okay.
Well, they got Tim Armstrong in their corner.
Okay, whatever. Fine. I want Tim Armstrong and Mike. Can you get Tim Armstrong in our corner?
I emailed him.
I know, me too.
So did I.
Yeah.
He won't return my call or anything for an interview either.
Mike Park didn't either.
Same here.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say that I was trying anybody and everybody to get Foolish Relics signed, I literally was.
Yeah.
I Mike Park, Mitchie, I don't want to name a whole bunch of names, but
don't name names.
Everybody.
Don't name names of all the people that rejected us and our life's work. who are probably sitting at home right now going, "Wow, we really missed on that one. We could be, we could have made our money back and then some already." But
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
yeah. I
No,
could have been
no,
a
no,
contender.
no hard feelings.
No, no, no.
Now, since we know that ska doesn't pay the bills, what are each of your occupations? We heard from Mike earlier, so we know what he does. What about you, Dino?
No comment.
No comment. That's fine.
Okay.
Now, let's skip on to any tour stories that you guys can speak of. Anything wild or crazy happen besides the crack house?
Um, Besides the crack house, anything crazy happen? I mean, gosh, that really takes the cake. I think one of the fun things is both the tours we've played with a lot of different bands. Especially in the first tour, I really like mixed genre shows because I like to present us. And a lot of people, again, will see us play. We played in New Orleans with a band called Abby and the Arsonists. That's like a psychedelic, female-fronted, like kind of shoegazer band. But the nice, sweetest people helped us put on a show. Got a couple other like local bands. What was the name of that band? I keep getting them mixed up with another. Anyway, so I mean, their fans came out and were like, "Wow, these guys with the horns are actually kind of cool. Like this is unique." And people came to watch us play. Were like, "Oh, those guys are really cool, and we live here." So it felt like that cross pollination was really good. I think that's been one of the more fun things for me. But yeah, it's we haven't had too many like crazy stories on the road. Honestly, it's been pretty straightforward. Life on the road is pretty. It's kind of a drag. You just drive and then you get to your place you're staying and you sleep until you have to go play, and then you stay out too late and you sleep until you get back in the car and you drive again.
Yep.
You don't get to go out and see stuff, although we built in some time for that in New York last year. But like, yeah, it's just kind of, you just kind of go. Yeah, York, PA takes the cake, man. I'll never live that down. I'll never live that down. I did have one show. I'm going to leave band names and venues and cities out of it. I did have one show. This was really interesting. This guy talked up a huge game because he's got like a big time band in a big time city and invited us to play, and we were going to be opening, and this guy's like, yeah, every time we play we get like probably 1,000 to 2,000 people at our shows, so we're booking a big venue in this big city. And I'm like, wow, that's great, so thank you. So we just take that at face value, talk to the guy. He's like a month out, he's still like, oh yeah, this is great, it's going to be the best show of your life, bring everyone and the venue calls like a week out and they're like, I don't know if we can do your show. And I'm like, what do you mean, where's the opening for this guy? He's like, dude, we haven't even sold 10 tickets for your show yet. I'm
Oh,
like, what? He's like, yeah, like if we don't sell 25 tickets, we can't even pay you guys. Like, and I'm like, talk to the other guy, because he said this place is going to be packed out. And he's like, he's AWOL, and he, I guess, got an offer to do a cover gig that night that pays him cash and like pays him well. And so he called us and said that you're headlining and he's opening for you guys acoustic. And I'm like, that's bad because we don't have a market. That's why we hooked up with this band, so we could try to build a fan base.
Yeah.
And we showed up there. They told us ahead of time, they're like, if you guys don't sell 25 tickets, you're not getting paid. They're like, we honestly should be charging you, but we won't.
wow.
So yeah, it was a rough show, and there were literally like 15 people there in this gigantic venue that could hold 1,500. So it was
Did that
just
guy
like,
show up and do his solo thing?
he showed up and did a solo thing, but like he literally showed up, plugged his guitar in, sang a few songs, and booked it.
Oh,
So that was weird. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And like, he's still around playing, and I see that he's got a big fan base. I don't like you didn't have to tell the ska band that you were going to put on a huge show if you weren't going to.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I have no hard feelings. Whatever might have happened, but that sucked.
Have you guys played with the Free Coasters out there in Florida?
We have played with the Free Coasters. We put on a ska festival the last couple of years. The first one had us and Supervillains and a few other bands from around here. And then last year we did Stop the Presses, and Loser came out with us and the Free Coasters. And it rained. It was an outdoor venue, and it rained like 6 inches that day.
Damn.
And it was like the worst setup ever for a show. We almost had to cancel. I convinced the venue not to cancel so we could pay the bands who were on tour. Like, we ended up headlining, because the rain was coming in heavier later. But I mean, we looked out, there's nobody there for like 100 yards. And then the covered bar, there's like 5 people there watching. And Mohawk Mike was skanking and played. He played his first show with us that night. So
I had my saxophone for like 3 days. I didn't even know how to put the reed in it.
Yeah, he learned how to play saxophone in the parking lot.
In the rain.
But I mean, I doubt that any of those bands would ever like come up here for a show I organize again because obviously I control the weather. No, I mean, they all got paid. We didn't get paid, so like we just bit the bullet. It sucked because we put a lot of work and promo into it. It just happened to be a bad weather day, so life goes on. Yeah.
Yeah, they came out here a couple of years ago. There was two dates they didn't have anything for that. I booked them. I got them shows, so I got to know them for a little bit. So I still stay in touch with them, trying to get them out here.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Basically, I just talked to Claire and John. Those are the only ones I talked to.
Yeah.
Now, what are each of your pet peeves and your addictions, if you care to tell us?
Wow.
I don't like it when people clip their nails, and it like when they do that, I feel like I can feel it in the middle of my brain.
Oh.
So keep the nail clippers away from me. Huge pet peeve. I don't like when people are mean. Again, a lot of our songs are like, just be nice and be cool. Like, I really don't like when people are jerks. That gets under my skin. And I don't think we have, like, again, in the Foolish Relics, like, band fam, like, we don't have those negative type of interactions. Or if we ever have a moment that gets a little heated, like, for any reason, it gets quashed pretty quickly. And then everyone's good. So, but yeah,
so you must have those vampire nails then, right? Because you don't clip your nails.
No, I chew them. I have no nails.
Do you
I've
really?
been chewing my nails since I was like 5 years old. I can't stop.
Wow.
I know. I'm surprised I haven't done it here. Just kind of like instinctively, but no, it's pretty bad, man. It's pretty. I cut them with little scissors if I have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't do the nail clippers. Like, I have to literally leave the house if my wife's like, I gotta clip my toenails or my nails or whatever. I have to like leave the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to go outside or like put on loud music if it's in the car and like plug my ears. So there's my pet peeves. Addictions. Gosh, I drink a lot of coffee. That would probably be the most. Yeah, and I talk a lot. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. I talk a lot.
No.
Yeah. So
for me, let me jump back to the previous question.
Oh, geez.
About the tour stories.
Okay.
Because I've only been on one tour ever, and it was with Dino. So we drive. The guys come. They drive over. They pick me up in Jacksonville. We drive up. We spend a night in North Carolina. Then we drive up to New York. Right. We're playing in Manhattan that first night, but our Airbnb is in Long Island because that's where we're playing the second night. And we get there, we check into the Airbnb, and we all go to the grocery store, because everybody has their little things, we're staying in an Airbnb. I can't control what kind of toilet paper they have, and I want Charmin. It's things like that, right?
Yeah.
I buy Charmin for my hotel room right here. But Anyway, so we're all at the grocery store, and Dino sends a screenshot to the group, and it says all I see is a phone number, and it says, I think I just saw your guys at the grocery store. So I replied back, and what happened was, let me back up a little bit, was when Dino said, hey, you're going to be our tour manager, I was like, well, I guess I need to go get a Foolish Relics tattoo. So I did. So I've got the skank and stick figure. I've got that tattooed on the side of my calf. And so he saw that in the store, right? And sends Dino a text. And I replied back to Dino, I'm like, who is that? And he's like, text the number and find out. So I text the number and I go, and I send a message that goes, hey, I think I just saw you at the grocery store. And he replies back, he goes, who is this? And I was like, Mohawk Mike. And he goes, oh, hey, man, what's going on? It's Christian from Scapository. So that's my funny tour story because, like I said, again, I never knew what tour life was like. And I mean, the eating Taco Bell at 2 a.m. wasn't really surprising to me. But no, that whole thing with Christian and Scapository, I thought was just really funny because he didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. And all I know is that he saw us at the store. So that's that story. Now, as far as pet peeves go, and you're probably not going to believe this coming from me, but it's grammar.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh.
Bad grammar irritates the shit out of me. I can't stand it. Somebody says, hey, where are you at? No, where are you? You don't need that preposition at the end. People that say nuclear.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it's stupid things like that just irritate the shit out of me. And I don't even know why. I wasn't a good student in high school. Not because I'm dumb, it's because I didn't care. But, right. I mean, bad grammar, I have no tolerance for it.
Bad spelling for me, if I jump into there, like people who can't figure out the your, and your, like drives me up the wall. I'm just like, yep, nope, I lost respect for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And people with mohawks.
I know.
Look, Jose's got a faux hawk now.
He does. It's very nice. Very fluffy.
A frohawk. Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as addictions, I don't want to say I have an actual addiction. I mean, I have a giant collection of bourbon, like hundreds and hundreds of bottles, ranging, anywhere from thousands of dollars to $25. But I don't have a drinking problem. I have a buying problem. I buy it because I see it, and it goes in a box. I have closets with boxes just stacked high, and I take it home. I'm like, oh, I'll never see this again on the shelf. And I take it home and I put it in a box and it disappears. I found a bottle last time I was home that I didn't even know I had because I was looking for something else. And I was like, I guess I'll open this, Right. But I love sitting out on my back porch. I have a house out in the country. It's quiet. The sun goes down. You don't hear a damn thing. And I sit out on my back porch with, a glass of bourbon and a cigar. Now, is that an addiction? No, because I can go days or weeks without either one of them. Mm-hmm. But, that's one of my, I don't know, guilty pleasures, I guess. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Now, couple last questions, because I know you got to go, Dino. Where can we find your music, both physical and digital?
You can find it on any streaming platform. And if you want to buy it from us, I mean, we've got a Bandcamp page set up, and soon it'll have the album, all that kind of stuff on there as well. It takes a little bit to get that going, but if you want to buy it directly from us, then we don't have to deal with the overhead and Bandcamp Fridays and stuff like that. Then you can just go to our website, www.foolishrelics.com, and that will take you directly to our page. The merch link has somewhere where you can just PayPal us directly. You can grab whatever. The only quirk is we have it set up, because I don't know what I'm doing, where you can only buy one thing at a time. But since we're offering like free shipping, or like low cost shipping on this stuff. If people need, like somebody bought 2 albums, but like it's free shipping. So like they can click on it and pay for it in everything individually. I don't have a cart function that works on our website. And that's probably more me than anything. But yeah, they can get it from us, or they can come out to our shows. They can get to know us on social media, and or I'll probably send you guys like something to give out to one of your listeners one day. Like, so listen to Ska History Hour, and maybe they'll have some sort of special thing that's like, you guys throw your signature on the album too. It'll be like a 1 of 1, and that'll be cool. We'll be down with that. We're down with all that kind of stuff.
I don't think if anybody wants our signatures, we're.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You'd actually be surprised that people would want your signature, and they might pay handsomely for you guys to actually autograph a 1 of 1 copy. 1 of 1s it's a big deal. Okay, don't sell yourself short, guys. You got a good thing going. Keep it up. And they can get CDs from us too. We have CDs too. So
that's what I want to get. I'm doing the CD thing now.
Yep. So we have CDs, and we have our and koozies. Again, I showed you guys the koozies. That's the back side, and that's the front side. We call that the moon tree logo because it looks like the tree is silhouetted against the moon.
Do you still have CDs of the first album?
Yeah, we actually had to reprint them. So if you look carefully at this, we had to get another. We sold out of CDs, and we changed the artwork slightly just to make it like a true second pressing with art variant. So if you look, like if somebody's looking at the picture with the red logo on a pinball machine, this one has a white logo.
The white logo,
yeah. So little things like that, and like the first CD had this. I think this is the last one left. It had the full credits on the back, like that. This one's just like a thin line because we had to do them cost. We already sold a lot of these. So this is just like for people who are like, oh, what else do you have? I'm buying your album, but let's hear your old stuff too, and we can throw them a CD for. We sell these for like $6. Like we're not trying to make a killing on them, so yeah. $6.
So if you have the I want the original CD with the new one, would you be able to provide the original one, not the thin line one?
So what you would want to do is say, okay, Dino, I got your CD. Actually, I think we have on our website right now, I think you can buy both, like a package of both CDs. So what you're going to want to do is go to the website quick, buy that, and then you're going to want to email me and say, I want that last copy of the original CD.
Okay.
And then I'll send it to you, just like
Save that for me. I'll do that.
Do it quick because
it's right now. Sorry, that's mine.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I might have like 1 or 2 of the originals left. So
yeah, save one for me, please. Well. Any last words for your fans out there and the viewers of the Ska History channel?
Mike, you want to start things off? Go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody that contributed to the Kickstarter, I cannot thank you enough. I had people message me and say, hey, I kicked $50 to the Kickstarter. I don't even know who Foolish Relics are, but you support them and I support you. And it's people like that help this scene grow. So
I would jump right on that and say, like, to our family and friends, like, a Kickstarter is seriously like the way that you legitimately overprice something that you're planning on selling to the general market anyway, and you sell it to your friends and your family for like 2 or 3 times the price that they would ever pay for anything. But they'll do it because they love you. And to get the amount of money that we got was honestly like made us emotional. It took me a few days to even process, like, holy cow. Like, I thought at one point, when it started, we're up like $400, like, oh great, like the band's gonna have to bail this thing out, it's not gonna work. All of a sudden it just kept going and going and going. So to everyone who supported it, to you guys who are willing to talk to us about it, like, how fun it is to talk about our music and just to share it with people and tell the stories that they may not know, and all that kind of stuff. It means a lot. And the Foolish Relics like fan base, I talk about it like a family. I will show you at the end of on the back of the album. There's a picture. Let me see if I can. You know what? Stupid background. I'm going to show you this picture anyway. I'm going to take off the background effect. Okay. So right here is one of my favorite pictures. Do you guys see it kind of in the middle of your screen there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the band with Mohawk Mike and with our friend Sal and his son Austin, who played with us, and his wife Heather, I think, is in the picture too. Yeah, she is. And like Foolish Relics, it has a very like family like vibe. So I kind of treat it like any other family. Like, you know, if you're gonna raise a child, like you need a whole tribe to like raise a family these days. You know, you depend on your family and your friends. And having a band, this is our baby. This music's our baby, and we need a tribe of people who like believe in us no matter what, who will like go to any length for us, not without question. And I think a lot of our fans have just become friends in that vein and have become a part of like the story. So Sal didn't know that, and his kids didn't know that I was putting the picture on the back of the album, and he saw it on the Kickstarter and was like, "Are you serious? Like, that's my favorite picture. You put us on your album and it's there forever." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's because you're a part of us forever. Mm-hmm. It means that much to us." So, and we've got so many like people have played us, Mikey, Mida, Joe, and everyone I'm missing, like play us and talk about us nonstop. Like, it just means the world. Mm-hmm. Because you put your heart into something like this, especially as a songwriter, it can be very personal. Like, this is my heart and soul on wax, and digitally. This is my passion. This is not like, this is what I work to be able to do this on the side and have a good time with it. And we all do. We all work really hard to make this kind of thing happen. So for people to love it and embrace it and embrace us means the world. And you guys, hey, anybody listen to the show, keep listening to Ska History Hour. These guys are cool, man. We've been talking I'm going to hear about it probably from my kids and fam, but like we've been talking for like 3 hours. Yeah. Solid. And
you're officially the longest interview.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like I had to put a note that says I have to go soon, but like I wrote it reluctantly, and I wrote it really small the first time because I didn't want to believe it. And then I had to be like, no, I have to go soon. So, because I feel like we could probably talk another hour and like I could go grab another beer and we could like not skip a beat. So anytime you guys want to have us back, maybe after Scalabama, maybe after the album's out, we'll have more stories. Maybe after Fest, we'll love to hang out with you guys because it's been a blast.
Yeah, but we will.
Stories we didn't even cover yet.
Yeah, but we will see you at Supernova. Is that right?
Yes.
You'll see Mohawk. You'll see Mohawk Mike for sure. I have to negotiate a lot of schedules, and oftentimes I can't just take as much time off as I want to. So when Fest came up, I have to take that weekend off and kind of plan my whole life around it. I don't want to say that definitely cost me Supernova, but it's possible it did. And since we're not playing at Supernova, like I can't get the band up there. So it's just, I'd like to go, but it's going to be a very last minute decision. Last year I couldn't go because my dad was sick and I couldn't like afford to use my miles or my money to fly anywhere but San Diego to be there for my dad. Right. But this year is just a matter of like, man, there's other obligations. I'm very busy right now. My kids' lives are busy. I want to go. It like breaks my heart to say that I might not be there, but I don't have plans to be there, but I can also get a ticket last minute and drive up if I have to. So,
okay.
Yeah, you'll see me, John Castro, and Mida Goodwin. The three of us got a house together. So, yeah.
Mikey, I didn't know about that. I'm shacking up in an Airbnb with Mike Tagliarini. You know, guys. Know? Yeah. So I'm gonna be with Mike and his wife and 2 others.
Okay. Kickstarter Foolish Relics backer Mike Tagliarini.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Mike's a great dude. I got to meet him 2 years ago in Supernova, But he had sent me a lot of old records from back in the day, a lot of stuff that I was looking for to complete my collection for free. Just the nicest dude. So
That's
we've been
cool.
friends ever since.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Mike, if you're watching.
Yes. All right, Ska Brothers. Well, thank you for keeping it real.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what things have in store for Foolish Relics. Want to thank you for everything and your musical journeys. We'll definitely talk to you soon. Okay, guys?
Yep. Hey, thanks for having us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you
Take
guys
care.
so much. It's been great.
Hello, Skankers! Jose here, aka Skanking Force. Would you like to win a free Ska Box? It's as easy as following Ska Box Rocks and Sniff Dog Records on Instagram and Facebook. And subscribe to Ska History Hour on YouTube and comment Ska Box Rocks in any video to enter. Good luck!